I'm gonna defend the old Mormonism with a cigar in my mouth. That's how to do it.
Hell yeah.
Oh, hello, everybody.
Chris, would you like me to read you 2 different quotes and see if you can tell me what they have in common?
Yes, I would absolutely like that.
Okay. So, quote number 1. This is talking about Jeffrey R. Holland. So Holland was giving a talk where he's talking about he's talking about the young rich man who Jesus said, "Sell everything you own and come after me, because it's easier for a camel to pass through the eye of a needle than for a rich man to enter into heaven." Right. So Holland is giving a talk about that, and so the mystery commentator on this said, he, Holland, wearing his very expensive suit, standing in the multi-million dollar great and spacious building that is the LDS Conference Center, as a senior leader of a $150 billion real estate empire masquerading as a religion, has no right to be scolding the rich young man. Okay, so that's the first quote. And then the second quote is, "I can't believe this $150 real estate empire masquerading as a religion is kicking me out. Why would they do that?" So what do you think those 2 quotes have in common? They're somehow the same fucking person. They're the same fucking person who called it a $150 billion real estate empire masquerading as a religion, and went on several things calling Dallin H. Oaks a meanie dum-dum poo-poo head liar, charlatan fraud, is now like, "I can't believe they're kicking me out.
I can't believe they're throwing me in the briar patch. It's unbelievable."
Anyway, if you would like, you can send your condolences to what is it? Is it free Nemo at gmail.com?
Oh yeah, he's got an actual one. Should we email him like right now?
Yes. Where do you get off?
Could I do it without showing like my email address? I don't think I'd be able to. I think I have like a throwaway email somewhere, but that'd be fun to email in and be like, "Oh my gosh, all he ever did was want the church to be honest about steeples for the benefit of the members, to make it so more members stayed in the church."
we should just like have increasingly ridiculous emails from different burner accounts. Just be like, "If it weren't for Nemo the Mormon, I'm sure I would have blown my brains out in front of my children."
The only reason I stay in the church with my cigar habit is because of Nemo the Mormon. They're kind of cheap cigars. Resto, they're not cheap. They're middle of the road. They're factory throwouts. They're called factory. That's just the name of the brand. They're not like actually factory throwouts. Like factory throwouts 99 or something like that. But it's kind of mid tier. But they don't cost that much. But I overly smoke them when I walk my dog because I decided. I probably smoke them too much. I need to stop. But I decided anytime I'm defending Mormonism, I need to do it with a cigar in my mouth to keep my ex-Mormon bona fides, because I don't want any ex-Mormons to think I'm going soft over here. I ain't going soft on those Mormons over there, yeah? No, sirree. No, sirree. Yeah, so I came up with that title because, it seemed to just, I don't know, I just rung in my head of a perfect way to say something that just lands us right square in the 200 subscriber mark. It just keeps us like right around there. That's like dunk on Oaks and Nemo as being dishonest in both of them. I mentioned that because I gave some praise to Nemo a while back for his videos on Oaks.
Yeah, he's got some good stuff. Like he's he'll research some stuff. His stuff outlining all the times that they've lied. That was decent stuff.
Yeah,
I think he did a video with John DeLynn and Jonathan Streeter about the happiness letter, and that was pretty cool.
Was Nemo on that?
I think so. I can't remember. I don't know. He's talked about the happiness letter a bunch before, which is all interesting stuff. It's just that this stuff is all so fucking fake, and he's playing it up like right now even more than John Dehlin was at the time. Although John Dehlin has milked it for like almost a decade.
Yeah, Risto's complaining that Nelson had a birthday. We are going to mention that too. Risto's thinking about starting a channel that points to Mormonism being bad and everything that's wrong with the world, and just seeing how many subscribers he can get with that. And just, even though he doesn't mean it about as much as Nemo doesn't mean that he wants to stay in the church, just about is equally honest in that. So, yeah, Nemo making a big old scene about this. I have a clip pulled up of those guys kind of grandstanding, talking about it and that sort of stuff. I thought when he went on with Dehlin, he was kind of just much more genuine and honest about it. But no, Flip was excommunicated. Cultural Heart asking. I resigned.
Yeah.
I resigned about.
I didn't bother. I'm still technically Mormon, I guess. That's when people ask me if, like, so wait, are you Mormon? I'll be like, yeah, technically. They know where I live.
Jared's still in. I did the official letter. It was like 10 years ago. I think I even referenced John Dehlin in my letter, and I kind of regret that, but I don't necessarily regret. I mean, I guess it doesn't matter like one way or the other about resigning or anything like that. But it was right around the same time frame of Kate Kelly and Dehlin. But I'd already been out of the church for 10 years. But get this, listen what happened to me after that. A bishop came and showed up at my house. Flip was there, and my girlfriend was there. And the person came that I didn't even know who my bishop was at the time. I was long out of the church. I left like in Vegas and moved back and didn't even connect with who my new church leaders were or anything like that. But he came and knocked on the front door and told Flip and my girlfriend that I'd resigned. And he didn't know who the living hell Flip and my girlfriend were, like in relation to me. He just came up and like knocked on the door and told it to him. I thought that was kind of outrageous. If I was capable of outrage, I would have been outraged. But
I wanted to be excommunicated when I left. I was like, yeah, I need to. And what actually talked me out of that was Tyler Glenn, because I wrote like a bunch of like, yeah, I'm pissed off at God music and stuff like that, and then I got Tyler Glenn was gonna release his album, and I was like, oh, I'm so jealous. He gets this like public like, yeah, fuck you church moment, and then I watched it and I was like, oh, this is terrible. Like, this is not even just the sacrilegious shit. I'm like, the sacrilegious stuff was like too on the nose. He's like spitting on Joseph Smith and doing the hand signs and the thing. But also the music was bad. Like, he rushed the fuck out of that album. Yeah. I'm not even a huge Neon Trees fan. Like, they're decent. I don't dislike them, but that wasn't good.
Charles Wagner says he did the Quit Mormon thing. I did the Quit Mormon thing too. I didn't use a lawyer. I just sent the in, and they let me out. But here's another thing that's wacky about the church stuff. So I got divorced like 20 years ago now, like that long ago. My ex-wife, I guess, was getting remarried or something. And like 15, 16, 17 years after, I got a message from them asking if it was cool with me if they got divorced, like 6 or 7 or 8 years after I resigned from the church. And they still checked in with me about her getting divorced. And I was like, what the living hell are you guys doing? Wild. Like, I resigned. Like, why are you guys messaging me about this? And of course she can do what she wants. And that, I guess, gave my parents some heartburn because they wanted me to rat her out and on all of her naughties. But it was no big deal. More power to her, like, moving on. But it is weird that they come in like contact and that sort of stuff. But this just in, Jared, did you listen to RFM's podcast already tonight? He just had an hour ago.
No, I haven't.
He's got some insider stuff talking about Down H. Oaks releasing and saying, and he read like the actual papers, that they are going to get more hardcore on excommunications.
Yeah.
And it's not just going to be people like they've been soft for 10 years. For sure they've been soft.
Oh, yeah.
But, or at least not what they used to be. But this sounds like it's going to be even tougher. Like, if you and I wanted to go back to church and we were completely contrite and all that sorts of stuff, we would have to be punished for all our sins still. So like if we still are merited a whatever we done did, if we're still merited a excommunication, we've got to, when coming back, go through an excommunication back according to those documents.
Huh.
Yeah.
Wow. I was interested to see that one because I saw the caption on it, but I didn't know he released it already.
Yeah. And
he said he got the slides, didn't he?
Yeah, and he read the whole thing. And I thought that was a pretty interesting, which actually kind of like conforms more with that legalistic church that I actually always kind of thought the church was, until it got kind of weird and soft all these like last several years. But yeah, I would have to, Steve, I would have to go get excommunicated for my sins now if I went back and confessed them and I had some stuff. And then it also said some stuff like, it makes no matter whether it piles on extra embarrassment to the person in the community or their family or anything like that. It says that in the stuff.
Oaks is going to get in there and he's going to be like, we need to atone for the last few years of only 2-hour church. It's 4-hour church, bitches. And now you're going back to calling your family once on the mission instead of twice, you spoiled little fucks.
Yeah, Flip got excommunicated. He'll probably tell. It's no telling tales out of school because I'm sure he said it multiple times on here.
He said it a bunch on here.
He done boinked on his mission, and that
guy got excommunicated.
Yeah, he didn't say that's what it was.
He might have. I don't know. I don't think he was hiding it or anything. That's hilarious.
It sounds like it means the things coming. He boinked on the last week of his mission. I guess I didn't. I think he said that before, but maybe he just didn't know what it was. But I swear he said it. Sorry, Flip, if I told tales out of school. But that's how Flip got excommunicated.
Man, his mission must have been more fun than mine.
Yeah, it was like the last week of it or something too. We had a week to go.
Really?
Like seriously, it was in the last week.
That's awesome. Oh shit.
Yeah, but anyway, I'm sure you'll talk about it. Sorry if that was tone.
Risto's in there saying no more hot chocolate. We should just come up with a bunch of ways that Oaks is going to double down to atone for the Russell M. Nelson era where he's softened up on everything.
Well, Oaks is going to go on like a fire.
Now we're called Mormons again, and you have to call him Old Joe Smith. And the Book of Mormon, you're calling the Golden Bible.
But this is what so put on like the hard ex-Mormon hat who hates the church and stuff like that. If that's the case, don't you want them to be hardliners like that? Flip says it happened on a Monday. I flew home that Wednesday. And that was just time to go home. That's the last 3 days of his mission. Man, that is not enduring till the end, Flip. That's enduring till the final. I don't know what, man. That's too funny. Troy said he lost his faith in 94, resigned as a family with a wife and kids in 99. I think I left and I was done with the church in 2004, 5-ish. And so it was like a decade for me to resign, and I only resigned kind of around seeing like all the hoopla with, because I was just going to be like Jared and just let it go. But then I decided I wanted to make some statement or something at that time frame.
Well, I was like 2014 or so. It was like right after I got married, basically. And I might have, I don't know. I might have resigned. Well, actually, I remember what I said was they can excommunicate me if they want, but I feel like resigning is just like they're making me do another fucking meeting or something. Like they're making me do more paperwork, so I don't want to do that. But I might have done it, but Morgan was still very Mormon for like years after I left, so that probably would have, messed up the dynamic a little bit.
Yeah, Culture Hall says we are OG ex-Mormons. Respect. Yeah, that's kind of where we started like blabbing on this stuff. Culture Hall. If you go listen to every one of the John Larson's Mormon discussions, Flip's on a bunch of them. They asked me to go on them. I didn't dare to go on back at that time, but we were in the audience for every single Mormon discussions that had like a live audience or something like that, and we went from the very beginning of it all the way through John Larson's whole podcast. 94 to 99. Then we go up. Let's see. This guy Nick Steinbach says we had a major hurricane hit our stake, and many of our ward members had their homes destroyed. Oaks came to visit and spoke at our stake. What do you think the topic?
Tithing.
Tithing. Pay the tithing.
It's definitely tithing.
Using the right hand to take sacrifice.
Oh, seriously?
Good. Yeah.
Like, what does these people need?
But that's what I'm saying is like, if so, Nemo is putting on like a sad face. Maybe he's sad that he's losing his little place where, I mean, I even kind of appreciated that if he was just like testing and saying, hey, I'm testing like what the lines are for me to get excommunicated. I also said before that I appreciated that he tried to find out like what are the proper channels to move up a complaint. That's one of the things I liked about his Oaks videos. Like, how do I move a complaint up? Like, where do I take it? Where do I go? And I also think it's fine to say, like, what's the extent of the church? Like, where do we get excommunicated nowadays? But it's all the and even RFM today, just the outrage of it. Like my ex-Mormon hat of it is always just good. Throw us in the briar patch. Is that not what it's supposed to be? I mean, like, are you really that upset or that pain? And that's one of the clips that I have pulled up.
Yeah, when Delin came out, Delin came out and to a fucking candlelight vigil, and he's like acting all butthurt over it. Like, dude, no, this is the rock star moment. Like, you gotta feel cool right now. I don't believe you that you're sad. You haven't. He got excommunicated in 2015, and he'll tell you about a million times he totally lost his faith in like 2002 or something like that. So he's like 13 years or so removed from the church. They kicked me out.
Yeah, I mean it was basically the same as me, and I just like wrote a letter, and it was like the end of it, and like, but I mean, I didn't really care about the whole thing, but I wasn't making like a great big scene about it. But I know that's the stuff where it kind of just feels disingenuous that you're like putting on like a performance or a face, or are you actually hurt, or you just hurt that you're losing your channel or something like that. But you should be cheering because this is like getting made in the mafia or something like that, and now you're somebody who's been made a public thing of. Amurdo 45 still LDS. That's good on you. We actually dig and like the LDS people still around here for really real. Somewhat related, Charles Wagner says, I decided to quit the church again after giving it another try for the last year or so. It's too challenging, sterile, vapid, shallow, etc. Charles, have you not watched The Secret Lives of the Mormon Wives? Don't you know that you can party, you can go to Chippendales, you can have the extramarital sexes, and you can I don't know, drink, like you do all that. It's open to everybody. Wait, I guess Oaks is coming up behind you. Is Oaks standing right behind me now? That's your little thing you made a post of, like the Marvel language. Like
that just happened.
Well, that just happened. Is Oaks standing behind me right now? I say all that stuff and then just have Oaks like slip up behind him, and I'll say that Marvel statement. I think the universe, you guys were here for me when I was going through my exit. Wait. Number go up says when did you go through your exit? Number go up. Steve is laughing. Myrtle, do you feel at home in your congregation? Number go up. He says not active, or he or she. LDS lingo for regularly going to church. Delin never asks, but her. What the fuck are you talking about? What? Have you watched Delin?
Oh, he's being sarcastic.
Branch president is interesting. Steve was a branch president. I didn't know that about you, Steve. Wow.
Yeah, for 6 years while not believing. That's wild. That
Steve,
would suck ass.
Do you have any comics? Like usually your comics are looking up at the people in the stands. Do you have any comics from being the person up in the stands looking down at the crowd?
Yeah, all of Steve's comics are from childhood, and they're great.
That's crazy. Yeah, Steve, you should go on Mormon Stories. I know that Steve knows Don Delin pretty well. So, he told me he just he says no.
Yeah, no.
Charles Wagner says they told me it was a sex cult, and I was disappointed. Yeah, that's too bad, Charles. Like, I heard.
Remember that in the temple? Like the first time you went through the temple, you're like this sex-starved 18-year-old, and you're just kind of like, are we a sex cult? Like, am I gonna go in here and there's gonna be a bunch of harlots that want to do nasty things with me and stuff? Like, because that'd be cool because it's still gonna be true, but then God's cool with me being in a fuck pile, right?
Yeah, man, I was always waiting for that patriarchy to play off. This patriarchy they keep telling me about. I remember one of the better Onion articles of the years was like a man blows his patriarchy card on job at Best Buy. That's or privilege, like those is a privilege card on job at Best Buy or something like that. The abortion, we have not covered abortion yet. Is what's the abortion topic right now? Just the stuff from the debate.
Yeah.
Or something else hit. Oh, yeah, they're talking about the stuff from the babies, the born babies being moited and all that sort of stuff, and how late the stuff goes. And Trump kept getting fact checked on stuff that once it goes back the other way on X, kind of turns out to be true. But what you can do. I wanted to pull up some of Nemo's podcast. Listen, if we can understand the Brits. Do they execute babies? There's some truth to some places, which included Minnesota, where Tim Walz helped pass the law, and the governor of West Virginia, Trump misspoke saying Virginia, of West Virginia, both have policies that if they fail at aborting a baby and the baby's born alive, they do nothing. They can do nothing until the baby dies, like so they cannot try to save it or something like that. So, so that's the closest thing to like killing a baby post birth, but it's usually after what they call I think the terminology is survived the abortion. The abortion survivor. Yeah.
Well, then it's no longer part of your body. Now it's, even by your definition, a human, so you have to save it, right?
Yeah. Here we go.
The Mormon doesn't podcast absolutely everything. 21st century saints don't podcast absolutely everything, because that wouldn't.
Do you understand that at all?
I mean, she's Scottish, so no, but we can give it a shot.
I heard some term today for like staying in bed too long from the Scottish, and it's called like
it's snarking the snaver.
What is it?
Snarking the snaver.
Snarking the snaver?
I just made that up.
Oh, it's close.
I make up. Me and Morgan, one of our favorite things to do is make up fake British slang. We like, he really hanged her in the snaver, he did.
Scottish slang for staying in bed too long. Hurkle-durkle. That's what it is. A hurkle-durkle. If you're staying in bed longer than you should, you're hurkle-durkling. You're doing a hurkle-durkle.
If I did that thing where I made up a fake thing and I said hurkle-durkle, Morgan would be like, "That's a shitty one. That doesn't even sound believable. Try again."
That said, when things are very complex, and often there are very complex cases, Nemo has, along with other Avengers, but Nemo has been one of the instrumental people in counselling with us about next steps, and has been invaluable. I don't want to sound crass. I suppose there's no other way to do this. I might as well. I mean, this is a guy who knows where the bodies are buried, people. And you're just like, you know what? He might have just been on the BBC. He's been all over the internet. Let's cut him loose from the church and send him off with all of this information and some.
But what was that BBC appearance? Like that BBC appearance was straight negative Mormonism stuff. Like how?
Yeah, well, and it was like him acting like he's a spokesperson for the church. Like,
that's what he keeps
the impression
doing
I got.
In city councils and all this stuff. He goes and kind of half presents himself as like Britain's #1 YouTube Mormon commentator or something like that, making it sound like he is some sort of official spokesperson. Like
a graduate of the church's seminary program.
He pushes their hand. Like how is it not pushing their hand? Which is fine that he pushes the hand this way in all these different ways. It's just when you're suddenly going, how are you excommunicating me? I keep people in the church. Like that's the lie. Like that's the lie. Like everything up till there, like the game you're playing chicken, all that sort of stuff. Cool. cool. Let's test it. Let's see what happens. You can even like have all your opinions on like what they're doing or not. But it's the moment that you start going like, no, like we always said in here, borderline personality, not saying you're borderline personality. A trait of borderline personality is I hate you, don't leave me. I hate you, don't leave me. I hate you, don't leave me.
Little scrap of thing that we're going to call an NDA. Are you mental? And the thing is, Nemo the Mormon does not operate that way. Just to stress, I mean, like, you know, people's stories are very, very safe in his hands. You know, the Brit Avengers group, that's why we're able to sort of counsel together with some of the decisions that we're making. But when it comes to safeguarding, this man has done more than Dallin H. Oaks has to keep the kids of this church safe. We have policies in place because of the support he's given. I think there's something really important here that, you know, Nemo was joking about how, you know, it's not that big a deal. Yes, it really, really is. Nemo is so well loved, so popular, has such an impact, has made such a difference behind the scenes and in front of the cameras too, that yes, people will be paying attention. You go on the BBC and a matter of weeks later, you're excommunicated. I'm sure they questions around that.
Yeah, like people are questioning like why it didn't like immediately get him excommunicated. Like that would be my question. That would be what was confusing to me. Like, how did I not get excommunicated for that one?
Yeah, if a Scientologist came up to me and is like, I have a giant YouTube channel where I just shit on Scientology all the time. I've been on national television shitting on Scientology all the time. Oh, so you're an ex-Scientologist? Well, no, I'm a Scientologist. They didn't kick you out? No, they haven't kicked me out. I was like, why?
Or if that person said, did they kick you out? And you said yes, would that other person go, the humanity, the humanity of those Scientologists, the humanity.
I think
barbaric. It's barbaric. It's medieval and barbaric.
So much that this is globally relevant. And the other key thing here is the people who are making that decision about what they're going to do, they have the power to make this decision. It's not about your eternities. You'll be good. It's about your membership in this church. So they're going to decide on that. They can choose not to. They can choose not to take any action because you're actually perfect as you are, and you are helping and you are needed. Now, if they choose to do that, look at what's happening in the United Kingdom. Nemo the Mormon was supported by the leadership in his church who could see that what he's doing is helping and it's beneficial. And yes, sometimes it hurts. Sometimes he's talking about hard things, but you can fix that narrative and make this be something that the church embraces. People can stay in that church.
Yeah.
Oh, stop it. Stop, please. Don't stop it. You're embarrassing me. I don't want people praising me this much. Stop. Silly.
Do you remember that little scene that we used to pull up of like the agnostic hymns? And that guy has a bunch of trophies, and she says, wow, those trophies are amazing. He goes, oh, they mean nothing to me. This one's meant nothing to me 7 years running.
We'll have to see. I think on that lovely note, why should we just wrap this up?
So I think it's the one lady before, I don't go back to it, but this is where it starts getting extra moralistic. But the other lady before it says that he did more to keep people in the church than chase them out.
Oh, fuck no.
Shouldn't that
You're
like offend you?
Just the way you are.
Wouldn't that offend you like the other direction if you were more?
I know,
folks.
Fuck.
I'll
I kept LGBT people in the church getting abused.
get some final thoughts from Sarah, then Peter, then Ruth, and we'll wrap this up because I'm tired and I want to eat more jammy dodgers.
Jammy Dodgers.
That's his thing. He said the thing. He likes jammy Dodgers. He does.
So I googled jammy Dodgers. I don't know if
you found the shitty YouTuber, didn't you?
Yes, I did. Jammy Dodgers are this type of food right here, I guess this nasty looking cookie, I don't know who on earth could actually like a jammy Dodger.
Oh, those suck. I've
Yeah,
had
those suck ass. But I mean, I've heard that the Brits like sucky ass stuff. But yeah, I mean, we had that whole thing where Sargon was calling all of our food slop. Like, that is slop. I don't know what is more sloppy slop than that. But
Sargon was calling Mexican food slop. I don't
Yeah.
think there's a better type of food in the world than Mexican food, you fucker.
he
And
says
you're
even-
from Britain, man. You get beans on toast and love jammy Dodgers. Jammy Dodgers is like, we might not have that brand here, but we have those fucking cookies. And then the one cookie that is in the cookie jar at grandma's house that just doesn't ever get touched. We come there, we're hoping for Oreos, and we look in, we're like, oh, Jesus Christ.
it's a jammy
Ew.
Dodger. Like,
I mean, it's not like
it's something like a jammy Dodger.
It looks exactly like that. I've seen it
Yeah.
before. I'm like, blech, no.
I don't know if you can get them around here for real, like the real name of one, but yeah, there a bunch of Brits were calling Mexican food slop, and we were shitting on those Brits, and then these Brits are eating these jammy Dodgers. But in the meantime, we found this YouTuber named Jammy Dodger, who is a trans YouTuber who looks a heck of a lot like Nemo. It kind of surprised me. Like, Nemo's Jammy Dodger, and I mean, is that just kind of some super symmetry going on right there, man? Anyway.
Actually, while you chat, so go on. Off you go, Sarah.
I would just honestly.
I don't think you can't eat jammy Dodgers. I have rules. One of my rules is adults can't eat cereal. No more cereal, adults. You're done with cereal. And jammy Dodgers are off the list now. No jammy Dodgers.
I don't think kids should eat cereal. That shit should probably be illegal.
Well, you know, like all the history of Kellogg and stuff, who invented cereal, and he had like weird masturbation beliefs,
Yeah.
and he's like a weird Christian psycho. Yeah, cereal was of the devil from the start, and it's still of the devil. And if I see an adult, I came out. I was with my band in Colorado, and we slept, and I came out, and they're eating cereal, and I just immediately said, "Adults don't eat cereal." And that's all I said to them. I went back in my room, and I converted them. They are not going to eat it anymore. Just kidding.
Encourage your state presidency and the members, anyone who has attended this council, to recognise that you and your words and your podcast haven't driven anyone out of this church. People listen to you because they
that sentence is not true, lady. I bet you Nemo has driven a person out of the church, has been part of the influence of driven somebody out of the church.
Oh, at least one.
Which should be actually a compliment to his podcasting ability, like when he does the teardown or the takedown videos or that sort of stuff, when he's pointing out to times when they are being problems.
looking for answers and they're looking for support. And that's why people listen to you. I'm only still in this church because I found this group years ago. We made good friends. We've started off questioning, learning, studying, talking together.
So like Oaks isn't wrong about this. Like what he keeps in the church is what he was talking about when he was on John Delaney. It keeps activists who are trying to change the Mormon church into universalist Unitarianism. That's what it keeps in the church. It keeps people in the church who are trying to change the church. I saw this. What was it? That let me see if I can pull it up. That comic by that Vocal Distance put up today. Here it is. This comic. It says this cartoon. What's that?
This is why gatekeeping matters.
Yeah, this cartoon perfectly illustrates how woke activists manipulate people when they demand a seat at the table while trying to change everything so it revolves around them. And when you say no, they accuse you of excluding them and causing a problem. Quit falling for it. They're playing a game. It's like, can I play? Sure. This game is too difficult. Can we change it? No, they've been playing this game this way for years. Why are you excluding me? I mean, I guess this is kind of like the libertarian mindedness or whatever, that people are free to worship and believe how they want to believe. The Mormon church is free to have their little club, right? How they want to have their little club. And if you don't want to play the games of their little club, they're free to kick you out of the little club.
I know.
And I get why you'd be upset about getting kicked out of that little club if you thought it had real power over your eternal soul. So are you giving that up? Are you letting us know that you kind of think it does? I don't think that's the case. So why is it upsetting?
Well, so we got a RFM posted that email your thoughts to nemoisinnocent@gmail.com. And it's funny because Forrest commented on there. He said, "Innocent of what? This is gaslighting. Clearly Nemo isn't a believing member anymore." And you're a bad person for calling that, saying, I mean, he's pretty obviously lying, right? He's saying it's all bullshit and stuff, and he's getting kicked out for it. And anyway, it's funny because this lady jumps in there and it's like, he still participates. We need to make more space in our faith tradition for differing opinions and viewpoints and even levels of belief. What do you believe? We need to have more atheist Mormons and more
Listen, this is somewhere I agree with Oaks. If there's gay people who are into being gay and that's their life and that's what they want to do with their life, they would do better away from the church. And if the church excommunicate them away from trying to it's like trying to cozy up to something that doesn't like you or something like that.
I know.
They're being nice to you in a certain way. It's like
you jumped into a lion's den and it picks you up by the scruff and throws you out of it.
Yeah, it's doing a favor to you. Instead of keeping you by and just insidiously eating at your life forever and ever or something like that.
They knew the cameras would be on it, so we'll see. Contact. We'll see if any reporters do turn up. Peter, your final thoughts, please.
I'd like to speak directly to your state president, and not just personally, but in the sense of all state presidents or all his councillors, all the High Council who will be invited to this trial, and anyone else in that situation. This is a test of your moral integrity. You are being asked by seniors up in your organization and/or a culture panicking in its persecution complex to make up some complete nonsense to put people on trial and excommunicate them for apostasy because they tell the truth, because they shine a light on the corruption that is self-destructing the church. You can see it. Your children are leaving, your congregations are collapsing in membership, your convert baptisms are not being retained in anything like the numbers for the church to survive. This church won't functionally exist in Britain or have any future within the next 5 or 10 years. Just look at the data, that's already happening. So what would you like on your conscience? Do you want some of the last things you do before your chapels get sold off and your congregations are over and you're in your retirement one day just reflecting on this church that used to exist and you can only now be connected to online because there aren't enough people to actually make a congregation anymore? Do you want your last acts when you were still in a position of power of actually having the remnants of a community left to
How is he the opposite of right
one of
here?
The people who excommunicated?
What's that?
How is he just so completely the opposite of correct on this? Because I'm the moralizing dead mother bullshit is annoying, but also one of the ladies that I had a back and forth with on the RFM thing is explaining to me oh, but they don't have to literally believe in the Book of Mormon, and because the Community of Christ Church doesn't do that anymore, and it's thrived. It's it has not thrived, and it's probably going to collapse. It's going to disintegrate completely, I bet, because the more universalist a church gets, the less people come.
Church of England.
Yeah,
change into the Church of England, or it won't survive.
I know, and the Mormon Church, Oak's probably going to do some hardline shitty stuff, but it'll probably help the church. If you don't gatekeep at all,
hardliners, they'll lose the hardliners if they change into what you want to change it into. They're
already going to lose the ones that want to change it into what you want to change it into.
They can't ride that fence. They can't ride it. It will lose both. They've got to ride one horse or the other, and it would be best for them. Normally, you can look at the finance numbers, and you can see that it's best for you financially to follow the ones. But this is some work that Dan Ellsworth has put out showing that it just goes to show that normally these progressive members march themselves out anyway. They're not going to stay. They're not going to work. They're not going to be a part of your church. It is best for your bottom line to march them out sooner rather than later. It's not better for that church to like keep them around and have them change the whole entire church to another thing, and then you lose your hardliners. It's not going to survive. Yeah, Reese still says progressive mainline churches are cratering. It's just happening all over the place. They do not survive that way. They just become like a club, and they don't do it. It's just not going to work. It's not going to hold on.
Well, like, I mean, when every church just becomes a platform for the Democratic Party, then like, 'cause that's really what we're saying here. That's what's happening to every church. That's really all that is. You know, none of these churches accept gays and yet go right, because you could totally have a church to say, yeah, we are totally fine with gay marriage, totally monogamous, gay, raise your kids marriage, and no screwing around and no gender bending, just gay. We're the church of straight and gay and nothing else.
Traditional gay.
Traditional faggotry.
Yeah, it's just wrong. Like Jared says, like, you're wrong. You're incorrect about that. But then you're adding like a moral line to it, which I think I've listened to this guy on Mormon News Roundup and stuff, that he's moved towards atheism and stuff. But every time you get around to chastising the church, you can do it on their terms perfectly happily. Like you're suddenly like warning them about their eternal souls and all that sorts of stuff like that. But no, you're not religious. You know?
Well, and you got to think of what gatekeeping is, because what it is it keeps people out who want to bash down the barriers that separate you from other groups. And like, if you don't want groups to be separate, that's fine. But eventually, once all of the barriers are down, there's nothing separating you from the outside world and nothing separating them from you and all these other groups. And so what's the point in calling yourself a Mormon if you're just the same as everyone else?
Yeah, it becomes nothing, which is always the secondary benefit to activists, because they read right through your stuff and they notice that they either want you to turn into them, like you can see happen with all the different IPs and Disney and everywhere else. You either turn into us or you completely destroy yourself. Both are fine with us. And they should like read right through your crap. If they want to continue to exist as a separate thing in the world, they are free to do so.
The last clutch of Latter-day Saints with the courage to actually try and have it survive, to try and save it, to have it.
If they put you, and I've heard Bill Reel go on these rants, like I would love to do like Sim Church. I've said it before. Let's do Sim Church, put all you guys in charge of it, and see in years it's just craters. It would crater. It wouldn't be a decade. I'd guess somewhere between 5 and 10 years. They got a lot of money, but it wouldn't make it 10 years. And the way that the hardliners are going to go, it's just going to keep trucking on. It might dwindle in numbers, but the hardliners are going to stay if it stays true to the faith. True to the faith. Did that get taken out of the hymn book? Was there some more stuff added?
Added Amazing Grace?
Yeah, they did.
Like my whole life, I was told that like, well, we don't sing Amazing Grace because of a doctrinal difference of opinion, and it's just that's all there is to it. And like that Mormons were conspicuously not singing Amazing Grace, but I guess all of a sudden now, okay, we're just doing that now.
Yeah, well, and that's just goes to show that all over the place, as we've seen, there was like a whole debate today between Jacob Hansen and some guy who I know we've all had run-ins with about how that guy thinks that the definition of marriage can change inside of the church and all that sort of stuff, to add the gays and the LGBTs and all that sorts of stuff. And there's a lot of different areas where I don't know how hard the church, I think with Oaks is going to be like a hard whiplash back, and everybody's afraid of that. You hear them panic about it in DeLynne's show and all that sorts of stuff. Oaks will probably be like a hard line back, and then it will probably continue over years to more and more move towards becoming universalist. They will do that, but every ounce of doing that is closer to stepping towards erasing themselves than the reverse.
Be honest about its problems and repent, which is meant to be what your religion is all about. I mean, think it through. You are already on a pathway towards you're going to excommunicate Nemo, and you've already decided, of course. And your seniors in this stupid hierarchy are telling you to do that.
Sure sounds like you want to be a part of it, buddy.
Yeah, those stupid guys.
So at least be honest about that. Or
I think you guys are a bunch of dipshits. Let me be a part of your panel forever. Let me be a part of your panel forever, or you're excluding me. Let me be a part of your panel every single day of all my whole life, which it was just funny to go along with this. Jared just got excommunicated from ex-Mormon this week.
Yes, I did.
This week.
Yep, I
held a candlelight vigil, and when Jared got marched out of it, we all cried.
I messaged Liz and I gave her a ton of shit about that.
And we registered as a 501c3 today for help people. Like I myself, it's been 8-9 years since I was thrown out of the ex-Mormon Facebook group for saying it is both morally and legally wrong to show explicit bias against Mormons in hiring practices. That was my sin.
Yeah. And I wanted to comment on John DeLyn's podcast this week. Oh, but I can't comment on John DeLyn's podcast because I was thrown out of those. Like register under like a new YouTube channel or something like that.
I stopped fighting with Jacob over at Thoughtful Saints because the last time he threw me out and I'm like, dude, what rule did I break? And he just never even responded. He just didn't even answer. It was like, I didn't break a rule, you jackass. You just want me out of here.
We've all been excommunicated all around, but guess what? They can all do.
I think I'm still banned from commenting on Divas's stuff. I'm not sure. I think I might be.
No, I think Divas said he removed it. He put it back. Yeah, but
did it come with an apology?
He said he'd remove it, but you did say something. Oh, you said she was Hitler, some sort of Hitler reference. So.
I said that because he said something, I don't know, and I said, you let Maven go on a Hitler-like rant, and you nodded along to everything. And then I said something that and because he said, hey, or somebody else, like I was responding to somebody else, like, hey, she's like, hey, Maven is a nice person. I'm like, yeah, whatever, but she's
not a nice person.
Like, whatever. Like, there's one like, no, she thinks like this is things like, they throw these insults around, and they literally just mean them as playground level insults of like ding dong, wiener,
incel.
It's like no, like I'm not. This isn't me just throwing shit. I could do that if you want, but like I don't need to. Like I can explain this. Maven and Hitler share a lot of the same ways of thinking about their positions in life in the world, and it's not because Maven is Maven. It's because Maven is a feminist, and intersectional feminism. Feminists think like Nazis. They just do. You can play the game. It's very easy. Just fill in the blank.
That's the unfalsifiability of the patriarchy, which I heard that term tossed around so much this week, which for the next topic we get into.
Blanks control Hollywood, Blanks are in charge of all the financial institutions, and like if you want to get anywhere in Hollywood or a financial institution, be prepared to get on your knees for a blank. The blanks will blank you at some point.
And because all the blanks,
am I a Nazi or a feminist? Could be either.
Because all the blanks are overrepresented in management. Yeah. You, the lowly nothing blank who didn't do or own or have any of that, are complicit in it. And, must take a back seat to everybody else.
You have internalized blankness. And also blanks are responsible for all the wars. Who am I? It's so easy to demonstrate how this works, and then you can just see that you play the exact same game with Zionism and patriarchy. Like just plug it in and see how easy it works,
Maybe have the courage that you can change the narrative now. You don't have to excommunicate Nemo. You could even cancel this stupid trial because it's up to the state president whether this happens, no one else. And if you've been leaned on...
Why? Like, why? Just because you're mad? Like, why? What's he doing? Like, what's he helping? You should be able to let him to march around the BBC and say that you're a bunch of dipshits and just love that he's a part of you. You should let him march around half representing that he's with your organization to go shit on your plans to try to build temples all over the place and just be like, well, boy, oh boy, we just got some diversity in this church.
Yeah, how are they supposed to respond to that reasonably? Like, yo, you're right. We are shitbags, Nemo. What do you expect to happen?
Did you guys?
He's right. Our patriarchy, our hierarchy is a bunch of shit here. That's I hadn't thought of it that way.
Because I don't know if you guys already mentioned it, because I was thinking about this, where like I really think the thing, if there was any one thing that turned the corner and brought on disciplinary action, it was flying to America to argue in a civic proceeding against the church's interests. Like, I really think that that's the thing. It's like, you know, anything else, like, well, people can have their opinions. Oh,
no, Flip. There's another, like, they mentioned it here. He appeared on the BBC as the spokesperson in England for the Mormon Church, and talked
that's not allowed
about the Mormon Church.
Okay.
Through all the history of the Mormon Church up until the last 10 years, that would have been like immediate excommunication.
For sure.
But already breaking protocol, just like you've broken protocol in all the other ways we've itemized here. You have no integrity. You know it. You're a lawyer. You're a leader of the church. You know this is all
integrity. Nemo, do you want to be in that church? Do you believe that that church holds power over your salvation? Are you full of integrity? Like going around announcing as yourself, being like a part of it, and is like, are you dipping out of the screen right there because he's talking about integrity? Like, is that like a little Freudian thing going on right there?
Duper's delight.
Yeah,
it's all wrong. And you are choosing to be the instigator and the person whose name is going to be on this whole process. You will be the stake president that excommunicated another truth speaker. So I challenge you to have a bit of soul searching over the next few weeks. And if you do proceed with this trial, don't make it a sham trial. Make it real. Provide Nemo with the actual evidence of the actual charges that you are basing your excommunication.
That part I agree with. Like there's a thing, like they said, that they're kind of vague on what it's going to be. I think they should just sit down and say, it's this stuff here. Duh.
Yeah.
Of course.
Yeah. It's representing yourself as a representative of the church, which you're not allowed to do. Like, frankly, you'd be in trouble even if you didn't misrepresent the church. But to misrepresent yourself and then misrepresent the church, double whammy. And then you flew to Texas to argue in favor of people with horses on estates.
People used to get extra stuff like that all the time when they weren't saying anything detrimental against the church, but just going around and kind of representing that they had some sort of church approval for stuff, or that they were spokespersons in any way. They used to get excommunicated for that all the time.
Do you remember the South Park episode about pirating music?
Yeah.
It's like, this is T-Pain. He's crying because he's not going to be able to get his kid a Hummer for his 16th birthday. That's your fault for pirating his music. That's kind of what it feels like. Like, it's Nemo's doing this public service announcement about this. This here is poor Constable in Kissington, and he's got a horse ranch, and there's going to be a shadow cast in the shape of a steeple over his horse ranch if you don't come and help with zoning laws.
Yeah. This man hates his church. He thinks they're dishonest jerks. This week, those dishonest jerks are holding a meeting. What's that meeting going to be? Whether or not you can still be in the church you hate.
How dare you? How dare you? I wish I could have been on the panel. I could have moralized better than these people. I am appalled that you are doing this to someone as ingenuous and heartfelt and truth-telling as Nemo. He is a hero.
Steve says, "Sir," replied the commander, "I am nothing to you but Captain Nemo, and you and your companions are nothing to me but the passengers of the Nautilus." Culture Hall's right. It's weird, the NDA stuff. Like, he should be able to record his whole thing and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
Like, whatever.
No, he did bring up a good point when he was talking to John Dehlin. He's like, I don't know why they're doing an NDA, because, like, whose privacy are they protecting? It's mine. I'm the only one, you know.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Well, no, I mean, in principle, because people can bring evidence, and those members of the church need to have their privacy protected.
Well, Jonathan had that point he brought up to us like years ago when around Jeremy Reynolds' thing, that they could go and act like the excommunication happened for some sort of scandalous sexual thing or something like that. Had nothing to do with all that other sorts of stuff. So you want proof that it is for the thing that they say that it's for. And you could see some stuff like that getting or seeming squirrely from that end. But, at the same time, I don't think the church would do anything to him if he actually did just record it.
Communication upon, or your concerns. Don't give him this nonsense about the High Council stupid thing. No one believes that. Get real. Or if that is real, please be very specific about who exactly it was on the High Council that Nemo writing a plea to have his rights respected as a temple recommend holding long-term servant in this church who holds the priest.
I thought he didn't have a temple recommend. He was on about that for like 4 years or something.
Yeah, but he's pissed about that.
His right to use that priesthood and being told he can't for no good reason because of integrity that you agree with, basically.
This always just reminds me of the time flip on Mormon. What was it? What was John Larson's on
Mormon Expression? You were calling
Mormon
it
Expression,
earlier, but Mormon Expression. Yeah,
I said discussion is Mormon Expression, and they got on, and Lindsay Hansen Park was talking about using the priesthood to do a female priesthood blessing, and Flip just asked.
She said she received a female priesthood blessing.
And Flip just asked, "Well, did it work?"
Did it work? Like,
this guy's like, man, like he can use his priesthood. You guys don't believe in the priesthood. You don't believe in the priesthood. And even if you did, you don't think those guys have the access to it. Like, don't doing that.
Yeah, like Mormons believe in that shit. You're saying, oh, here it is. It's valid. Does it work? And that thing's like, Chris pointed out later that that Lindsay glared at me and I heard the room laugh, but I literally was just asking. Because I know if I ask a Mormon, did your blessing work? They say, yeah, it worked. That's what they say. So I just expect her to be like, yeah, sure. Worked just the same as man blessing. I'd be like, okay.
And instead, if that's the real reason for this trial, tell him who it was that lost their testimony because of it. Who is that weak in your high?
Oh, they want specifics of who left the church on the.
Wait, are you seriously retarded enough to think that Nemo hasn't driven people away from the Mormon church? There's no fucking
and again,
way. You're not that stupid. You're playing dumb and you're lying, right? Maybe I'm giving him too much credit.
I will say that even as a compliment to me, Nemo, on what I think his genuine goals are. I think he's made effective arguments against some of the problems with the leaders, like he said, pointing out Oaks being dishonest about when he did or did not stop those electrocutions at BYU or whatever.
Oh, yeah.
And then but Nemo was also on all 55 of those episodes of Why the Mormon Church Isn't True on John Glenn's channel, that he brought in that other guy. And I think he called that one discussions too, or presentations or something like that. And he did suddenly, 20 years later, we went through 55 new episodes of going back over all the Kinderhook plates and all that sorts of stuff. And every single reason, basically a long form CES letter. And Nemo was there for every single one of them. And you can't tell me that not one person didn't lose it from those podcasts. Those podcasts took out at least one person.
For sure.
Did you see Oaks' response
please
to him?
Get real.
To what?
To when he finally got Oaks to talk to him about the electroshock thing. Oaks' response was like, "Thank you for your concern in this. I've talked to this guy who's gonna send you a report on why I didn't lie."
Yeah, and then
they got a report. Just say
he got a report from FAIR. FAIR has declared that Oaks did not lie.
This is like some COVID science bullshit. We never said that masks would help.
And I hate to tell you, Mormons, but in that situation, Oaks lied. Oaks is lying. Yeah. It was happening while he was still president of the church, and he should know it. And Nemo kind of pointed out that he knew it. And I thought he kind of did a good job of saying well, who do I take this to? Who do I present it to? What are the channels? And showing kind of an extensive view. Because what if I thought that could have even been a service. That one actually could have been a service to believing members. Because what if a believing member genuinely did want to go up the chain about something like the vaccines? How do they do it? How do they go about actually going up the chain? And he kind of showed the long process of who do I got to email? Who do I got to call? Who do I got to go to? Who do I got to bring this to? And I thought that was
membership.
I thought that was valuable stuff. I really did, Nemo. And I think all of your stuff was, I don't have many criticisms for you except for this feigned butthurt at the end of this stuff.
Yeah. I mean, the zoning law shit was stupid. I mean,
the zoning shit.
It was stupid on both sides. You're like, Mormons, just build your fucking temple a little shorter, but like, also you rich ranch owning fucks, just why do you care if the temple, like, it's their fucking building? Let them build it as tall as they want. But Nemo, what the
And those debates
fuck does this have to do with you? What does this have to do with, like, you flying across the country to talk about zoning laws? That's the dumbest shit ever. And you only did it to get the attention. Like, then you were definitely on the radar of the top.
It was
brass
to
in the
poke
Mormon
the Mormons. It was to poke at them, and it was to create content. It was content creation.
And hey, if you were doing that to just poke and prod and be like, I'm going to see how far I can go till they excommunicate me. Cool, that's fine.
And they got you, and then you're like, they got me. Like, fine.
They excommunicated me. Pop up in the champagne. You know that.
So you've got a chance, in a sense, to save your soul. This is about, if you really believe that you are going to stand before Christ in judgment, who repeatedly taught these moral dilemmas, do the right thing.
Don't religiously same people in the way that you don't religiously believe.
It's just hilarious. You've got a chance to save your soul. Shut the fuck up, you nerd.
Which is meant to be a fundamental Latter-day Saint principle. You've got a very short period of time to save a bit of your soul, like Voldemort throwing it away on all these stupid acts where you're losing parts of your soul. And I'm saying this to all these church leaders who keep doing these things to the innocent.
I don't know. Is Nemo pained about this preaching right here?
This is more preaching than I got in like 90% of my Mormon interactions. I didn't get this level of condescending preaching. I like one time I remember a friend of mine, her mom saw us goofing off in the mall, and she sent us all these letters that saying that, like, oh, you got to think about this before you pass the sacrament on. And we were seriously just like running around in the mall with like a bra hooked to our shirt, just being dorks. And we made fun. Like, everyone I know made fun of her for that. And she's even embarrassed about it now. And that's the closest I got to being moralized to by a Mormon, the way this guy is moralizing right now.
Yeah, I had one or two Pharisees on the mission, and that's
like, imagine being too Pharisaical for the Mormon religion. Like, you're, I'm too much of a hole monitor for the Mormon church.
To the people who actually should be your Christ-like example, not your enemies, who are the Samuel standing on the wall, having the courage to take the arrow.
Oh, the meme of Nemo standing on the wall.
I know.
And speak truth to a city full of self-righteous, arrogant people.
I don't know. Now that I'm watching this, looking at it closer, because I usually walk around listening to it, I think Nemo's kind of shrinking at this preaching going on right here.
They're trying to one up each other. Like the Jane Christie lady she was like blowing smoke up his ass like crazy, and I think he did start to get a little bit uncomfortable. And this guy's like, "Well, I'll do one better."
Yeah. So maybe like when I heard him on the Lynn, he seemed a little bit more even about it all, and then just was kind of honest about, like, yeah, I'm being irrational about getting hurt about it, which he said personally.
One else, which we see over and over again every Sunday as they get up to the Rameumptom and boast about how wonderful they are and how weak all these people who've left are, and the wicked world out there who happen to be hundreds of thousands times as many as them, because they haven't shared the gospel with those people. They've just rejected them. Do you really want that to be the system you devote yourself to? This is about you and your God. Where is your integrity? Everyone who participates or facilitates these, I encourage the state high councillors to speak up in that trial for this.
Mormon guys in Europe, if you don't ex Nemo, I think you don't have any integrity and you're full of shit.
Stalemate.
For what?
And going to hell.
Is really going on here?
Outer darkness, even.
Have you lied to Nemo about why he's here in this trial? Please be honest, and maybe have those conversations with him, because you're meant to be his counselors before this trial even happens. Have a difficult conversation in your next state meeting, whoever you are, female leaders.
Maybe Nemo should have the integrity and go up to them and say, I know why I'm in hot water and the things that I've done that would put me there.
High counselors. You can stop this machine of stupid happening over and over again, as it always does. But you individuals like Nemo stand up. They make a difference by standing for truth. by doing the thing the church taught them to do. You've got a choice to make, and there's a lot at stake here.
What's at stake? His soul? His soul's at stake? Is that what's at stake?
No, because again, like, you keep like the machine of stupid. Why are you trying to talk to him? Anybody you don't like it? Aren't you just saying congratulations, Nemo? You're on your way out. Don't even go to your disciplinary hearing. Like, just leave. You okay? Like, why are we pretending like this is any big deal? You got your wish.
But that's the content. That's the thing, is pretending.
I guess
that's
so, but
that's like, what I'm saying is the I don't know, the dishonest part, the disingenuous part of it.
Because I told the story so many times. Because, like, you know, I mean, I got excommunicated, and I had like the long dark night of the soul. But you know, over a few months, because like I talked to my stake president every week as part of my getting back in good graces, whatever it is, to get rebaptized or whatever. And you know, and I wasn't going to church or anything like that. And first I forgot one part of the story, is that because like I got excommunicated, and I had the long dark night of the soul. But I remember, because like I got excommunicated, I left the steakhouse. I got in the steak center. I left the steak center. I got in my car. I drove to Walmart, and I bought a bunch of boxer shorts, and I went home and I took off my garments. And I remember, because like I was just a wreck the entire time. I'm like, oh fuck, I have burned my eternal soul, all that stuff. But then I remember like taking off my garments and putting them into a box and just having this enormous sense of relief. Just like, wait, I've got the best excuse ever not to go to church anymore. I ain't Mormon. I don't got to go to church. But anyway, so I talked to my stake president every week. And like, I don't know, like, because if you've got shitty leaders and it's shitty, like, I remember my stake president was like, one day he's like, well, like, what's up with going to church? And I'm like, I just don't want to do it. You know, he's like, and what about paying tithing and stuff? Like, you know, I don't want to do it and all that stuff. And one day I said to the president exactly these words. I said, President, I haven't turned my back on the church, but I just don't want to do it right now. And he said, okay.
Shame on your soul.
That was the last time. Like, he literally said, okay. And that was the end. He never bugged me again. Not that he ever bugged me. I went voluntarily. I liked him. He was a wonderful guy. I loved him. Like, the guy was great. I was lucky in that personally at home, all the leadership I had was awesome. In Mission Land, I encountered some real mega doinks, for sure.
Leslie asks, was BYU the only place to do the electrocuting? I bet you not. I'm more than positive they got those ideas from somewhere else. But I know a man who went through that stuff in the 80s. And this is, I mean, not to be an apologist for it, but it gets painted in a certain way that it wasn't. Like, I know people like hear it and they think in their heads that it's like basically Ghostbusters, the beginning of Ghostbusters, but worse. Like, don't shock me. He's like that. He went in, he was straight. He didn't have like a gay issue, but he was, through his psychologist, he felt he was masturbating too much, and he had some psychologist who took him to the program, and he felt like he was masturbating to stuff he shouldn't be masturbating to. And they put him through things where he selected the electrifying current, like how high or low it was. And that's something that they can talk about if you even watch the documentaries, those things. And then all it did is if they sat there and watched different stimuli on the screen, so it might have even been an option to see porn at that time frame, man, because you couldn't get your hands on porn that easy in the 80s. But they got like the images flashed across them, and if their weighing moved at all, it would shock them, and they could choose how high or low it went. And it would give them just like little shocks to let them know that they're getting aroused to something that they don't want to be getting aroused to. And then to other pictures that they did want to get aroused to, it tried to train them with their minds. You could call it like psychologically difficult. And I heard like, if you listen to like some of the documentaries, some of those guys were really hard on themselves because they believed that they should be undoing it. And you could see like how that would not be a pleasant psychological situation. But the physical situation was always kind of just in their own hands and nowhere near as bad as like the Ghostbusters shocking thing that you saw at the beginning of the movie Ghostbusters. They got to select them out and how hard it hit or not. And it was just supposed to make them aware of what they were getting aroused at or not from images they were looking at.
Yeah.
Is it great or sorts of stuff? I mean, it was obviously stuff that people based or tried to do technocratic answers to stuff. It's one of those answers. Once again, like the whole technocratic world might not have all the answers for stuff that things in all the science of the world might do it. Yeah, Risa says they used to lobotomize people, but
yeah, they used to sterilize children who were like confused.
Nuh-uh.
No, seriously, like way back in like 2024, they used to like put children that were confused on a cocktail of sterilizing hormones and puberty blockers. And for like the rest of their life, they would have to be on crazy medication to keep them from getting osteoporosis based on a decision that they made when they were like 5 years old, and put them on the road towards sterility and genital mutilation. It was wild. And then even when they're 15 years, they could be 15 years old and the doctors would slice off their healthy boobs.
You know what though, Jared? You know what the twist is going to be? We're all gonna have to swallow our pride. It's going to turn out that the key element that we were missing that made it so that phalloplasty and vaginoplasties don't work, or that hormone therapies don't work, it's going to be
phobia.
Leeches. We just need to reincorporate the leeches and the hormones and the surgery
and the lobotomy
and the therapy
and repressed memories
and the boob jobs and leeches.
Yeah. So I like this part. This is just something for Risto demonstrated to us that they took Lincoln Park and they put a chick in it and made it lame and gay. And right after we got this,
let me go full screen for a moment. I kind of want to end with a comment that came in from 99 Blackbirds. Check Linkin Park's new song, I Only Wanted to Be Part of Something. And I have actually been listening to that song a lot today. As a Linkin Park fan, I'm excited to see their new music. That's, a connection that some of you may not have realized. And I was just looking at the lyrics, and I'm going to do the very Mormon thing of quoting some lyrics at you. But there's just one line in that song, which I think sums up my situation currently. And it is the line, "Let you cut me open just to watch me bleed." And that's what I'm going to do for you all. I'm going to let the church cut me open. I'm going to go to this trial. I'm going to let it all happen. You can all watch me bleed. They can watch me bleed, and you can see what comes of it, and we can see how it all unfolds.
This is some Jesus shit, man. He's like, you can watch me. I am your savior. I bleed for you.
It totally makes.
This was a dumb joke. It wasn't sure. Lincoln Park nude singer commits suicide by hanging in like a record time. No, that's the gal. She's taken over. She's come in to sing in place of Chester Bennington, who did commit the unaliving of the self. I don't know how people.
Have you listened to any of it yet?
I always hate it.
I listened to her kind of copying him, and I don't.
So, I listened to Bleed It Out that they did live, and she did a pretty good job. It's just that it's like.
Have you heard the new song? I haven't heard the new song.
No, I haven't. But like, I'm not even a huge Linkin Park guy. I liked them when I was 10.
I am a non-Linkin Park guy. I do not like
Linkin Park.
But I think Chester Bennington seemed like a cool dude. I think he did.
Yeah, I mean, they're all fairly somewhat talented, I guess. But
he can sing good. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. So it kind of feels like. Did you ever watch Pitch Perfect?
No.
So
yeah, I think I did.
I never watched it.
Stuff?
It's Pitch Perfect. It's an acapella one, right? You know the Cup song in 2012.
Yeah.
So that's Pitch Perfect, and I never watched it. Morgan liked it a lot, and she showed me part of it one day. So I cut that. The whole theme of it is that they want to do an all-female acapella group, and they're basically like, no, it can't be done. And in my head, I'm like, but it actually can't be done. Like that's such a terrible idea. You need a bass, a baritone if you're going to be doing an a cappella group, and women are all anyway. So that's kind of what it is. Like it's with a cappella, and I don't like a cappella at all, but I'm like, if you want to do it right, you got to have a bass and a baritone. And it kind of feels the same with this. Women have very good voices, but men have more forceful voices generally. And so she sounds a lot like Chester Bennington when she sings Bleed It Out, but like without the force. But maybe that's because it was live and I've only ever heard that song recorded. Maybe I've never heard him sing live. So I don't know. She did a fine job. And if I cared about Linkin Park, this might bother me, but who knows?
Charles says we are monsters and we do not like good music. I don't. The rapping in it's pretty bad. I don't know. It's just kind of like that teenage angst stuff kind of going on.
The rapping is like I could do Mike Shinoda rapping. Really.
Is that his name?
Yeah, that's the rapper. But I don't know.
You know the
It's
name.
not. I mean, I liked him when I was 10.
The Turntables guy sounds like he knows what he's doing.
He actually, the Asian guy, he's like composed scores for movies and shit like that. Like he's Juilliard trained.
Risto says, I remember telling my brother when he was 16 and told me Linkin Park was the best that he wouldn't have the same opinion in 5 years.
It just kind of, no, it did feel like it was the best when I was 10. And then I don't know, you grow older and it just feels kind of bland.
You actually like super duper liked them? I mean, I guess they might have spoke to me if I hit him at that age.
When I was that age, I didn't really have any MP3 players. I didn't have a big CD collection because I was a kid and I didn't have any money. And so all I could get music from is listening to the radio, and Idaho radio is shit. So seriously, the best thing on was like Mr. Brightside by the Killers and Linkin Park. That was it.
I am the bright.
So I liked that was Meteor came out, and that was Breaking the Habit and Numb, and I really liked those songs when I was a kid.
So Leslie's mentioning that they saw some commercials for like shock therapy to give up smoking. Like I'm more than positive. Like we look up the history of shock therapy. You want to know what's true too? My friend who went through it said it worked for him. He said it helped him. He said it helped him get off of finding different
okay, just to be clear, like I don't think there's anything wrong with being gay, so we shouldn't shock gay people. Okay, but like, what if just imagine somebody was a PDF file? Like, would you be opposed to them seeking out shock aversion treatment? Like, if they thought that would help, or would you be okay?
I'm going to tell you this is Tell and Tell School, but I haven't said his name. That the situation that we were talking about was kind of close to that, but it wasn't because he was 13, 14, 15. But he thought that he was sexually attracted to girls who were like 10, 9 or whatever. And he was talking to his therapist and saying, I want to cut that. I want that out. I don't want that in there. And he was very, very young. So it was like still very close to age. And he 100% said it worked for him. 100%. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, there you go. We can zap the gay away. How we can make?
So yeah, that was even in the documentary. I can't remember what it's called, but you can find it on YouTube about the BYU stuff. Like even the guys that are remembering it, they say, "Well, I mean, it works that it kind of like makes me not gay, makes me not attracted to men if you do vomit aversion therapy, but it didn't make me attracted to women." Like so I just don't want to fuck anything now. Thanks a lot, guys.
Maybe we could go use it to go become gay. Like maybe we could get that going. Like we can get promotions finally. My point is just that shock therapy was being used for a variety of purposes in the 70s. Yeah, for sure. It for sure just wasn't all BYU who spearheaded that whole entire thing. Absolutely not.
No, it seems useful for some things. It's just I don't think that you can reverse somebody's attraction to men, but you can't really cultivate an attraction to females, as far as I can tell.
Yeah, well, let's still man the other side of it too. The bishops were recommending people to it who'd gone in and confessed stuff. They were sending guys and I'm assuming gals in to do it, assuming that they were broken and had to fix something that was broken inside themselves. So it was psychologically distressful for sure.
If you can shock gayness out of people, can you like tickle it into them? Or like just keep offering them like donuts or
no, I bet. Do you think that the bishops knew about women back then? Like, because if a dude comes in and tells I'm attracted to men, they'd be like, well, we'll get you into shock therapy. And then if a woman comes in, they're like, I'm attracted to women. He'd be like, okay.
Well, how much Pavlov's dog starts happening?
You're a woman.
Like now I need the shocks to get off, man. Whoa.
Congratulations, you came out as a woman.
Yeah, Troy mentions it turns you into Clockwork Orange. I mean, Clockwork Orange had all that stuff. I mean, that whole thing was going under the assumption that people were doing those types of psychological experiments on how to get rid of the ultraviolence, the old what do you call it? I can't remember. It was just the ultraviolence, right? Still being used. Just look up Pavlov's watch. Wow. Yeah, I assume like if somebody still wants to try to go through that surgery, they could do it. Will it cure me being a Linkin Park enjoyer? No, man. It'll just double it down. It'll double and triple it down. There's no getting out of loving Linkin Park. If you got that bug, you got that bug. No hate if people like Linkin Park. I just wasn't my thing. I'm probably just a little too old for it. And I'll own my guilty pleasures. I was a young lover of Guns N' Roses, man, and you can't take that away from me. I still love the Guns N' Roses.
Yeah, they're not bad though.
Yeah.
Except for Axl Rose and Sweet Child of Mine. I was like, you had such a perfect song. You made it too long, and Axl Rose insisted on participating in the bridge. That I hate that part so much. Like I autistically hate that. Where do we go now?
Oh, at the end of November Rain?
No, Sweet Child of Mine.
Is that Sweet Child of Mine? Oh yeah.
Yeah, where he says, "Where do we go now?" Like over and over and over.
No, I think that's good.
I think he should have shut the fuck up and let them solo.
I'm gonna electrocute you into like. I need to have like a button, a Ghostbusters button, and be like, oh, a couple weeks. I loved the Ghostbusters scenes that like the kid he was doing that to actually did and was showing that he probably had some sort of ability with ESP, but he just kept shocking him. The kid kept getting it right. Oh man, I started watching the new Ghostbusters and I just got sad. It wasn't like this 2016 one, but it's crap. It has stuff in it that ruins the lore. And I was just sad.
Sad.
Charles says, I learned to like Linkin Park on my mission. Well, I guess I served in Vegas, so we did things a little different there. My mission, we were allowed to listen to some music with my first president on P days, but then my second president took it away. But my first president let us listen to worldly music on P days. Can you believe that?
That's wild.
Yeah.
Linkin Park is better than Disturbed, is better than Godsmack, is better than Korn, is better than Avenged Sevenfold.
No,
like,
he's saying that's his progression. He's not saying greater than. He's saying that's
two.
Yeah, that's where he went.
Like I hate every single one of those bands.
So I was playing a show like a couple weekends ago, and we were at this house, and everybody was like hippies, just hippie central, just all dressed hippie, smoking hippie in this like hippie house and all this stuff. And we got to the break, and they all asked us if we could do covers of that exact lineup right there. Like, you know any Linkin Park? You know any Disturbed? You know any Godsmack?
Hey, can you guys play that super sick Disturbed song, "Sound of Silence"?
And we're like, so I guess like just the hippie thing is just like an aesthetic or something like that. Like, what's going on here?
Like that is a thing that I think is like just like there's some kind of hard boundary there, is because when I heard the Disturbed cover of "Sound of Silence," like the first time I heard it, I honestly thought it was like a joke. I thought it was like an SNL thing. I'm not kidding. I thought it was like, I'm like, it isn't Radio from Hell time. It's the afternoon. They don't normally play jokes at this time. And then I remember later, somebody at work brought it up, and I said, like, oh my God, it sounds, and they interrupted, like, amazing, don't you think? And I was like, what? No. And I realized, it's like, because there's a lot of people like, I think it's really good. And then everybody else is like, you got to be kidding me. You've got to be fucking kidding me. And I'm on the you got to be kidding me. I thought it was a joke.
You have no idea. So, no, my dad doesn't like heavy music like that ever. But he got like really into Disturbed, right? Because he was on this softball team and his friends really liked Disturbed and they would pump up. So he just sort of by association liked Disturbed. But when that song came out, he's like, this is shit. This is shit. And so that's one of the most bonding like things that me and my dad have is how much we hate that song, because we work at the same place, and everybody out there, if you ever bring up like covers, there's always someone in the room. Oh, dude, Disturbed does Sound of Silence better, man. They just do it better. I'm like, what in the fuck did you just say? It's everyone at work except me and my dad. We're just like, we look like two Doom guys fighting off the hell spawn.
Risto asked if we know Well-Tempered Clavier. I don't know them. He used to enjoy POD and Creed. Is that because they were Christian rock, Risto?
Okay, I will admit that Creed is part of what got me to play the guitar. Because I wasn't a Creed fan, but I really liked that pretty guitar intro to 6 Feet from the Edge, and I was like, I want to learn how to play that. And then I did, and I was like, well, now I know an intro to one song.
I learned how to play I Just Heard Yesterday in my life. It's just a C walk down to A minor. Now you know.
With arms wide open.
F under the sunlight. C. And now you know it. Steve says a childhood friend of mine admitted they like Barry Manilow. I know a couple that are the most attractive couple you'll ever see in your life, and they are Barry Manilow maniacs. They catch all the Barry Manilow they can, sing all the songs, have it all on vinyl. I guess you can get into the Barry Manilow, man. Not really because they were Christian. Like I can kind of get Creed, but POD was. I mean, they were kind of rap. I was not into any sort of new metal rock rap. Maybe some of the times I could be like, I kind of get Korn. Like I get Korn a bit for sure. But I didn't like new metal very much at all, like the rock rap. By the way, do you see that the guy that we saw turned out to be a director, Fred Durst? He's touring around with Corey Feldman now.
Is he really?
Yeah. Yep.
That's nowadays, where were you in the 80s and 90s, man?
Yeah, Oingo Boingo, but you
I
can go
saw
hear
the second to last
Beetlejuice
Oingo Congo concert ever.
Beetlejuice. You guys know Danny Elfman got canceled? I didn't hear that until this week.
Really? For what?
For like hitting on some younger gal.
Yeah, no, like my old manager. That's funny because he used to play in local bands back in the 80s and 90s and played around a lot around the West. And he said that, like, you know, he was up in Park City like in the 80s and Oingo Boingo was there. And like he told a story about how like Daddy Elfman and Oingo Boingo were basically going around looking for men and women and like proposition them like, hey, like we're gonna go orgy. You want to come? Yeah, it's like, no, we're all right. We're gonna stick around.
What do you think Oingo Boingo means?
Yeah, exactly. I guess like, yeah, that is kind of like, whoa, huh?
You know, one of the, you know what, when you know something from like a very, very young age, you feel really proud about it. One of those things to me is I was seriously in the 4th grade when Limp Bizkit was huge, and my friends, they're like, "Have you heard Limp Bizkit?" And they like showed it to me, like when I brought a CD player, and I was like, "This is awful." Like I liked the Backstreet Boys at that time. I was in 4th grade, and even then I was like, "Man, Limp Bizkit fucking blows."
Yeah, they were
so grunge. Reese still says he liked the grunge. I was one of those guys who was very, very mad at the grunge for killing the 80s hair metal because I love the 80s hair metal. Just like Troy said, he was a Night Ranger fan. I was a Night Ranger fan. I was a fan of any 80s hair metal. And grunge came along and they kicked out all the Guns N' Roses, all the Night Rangers, all the what are some of those other like random ones that were actually all kind of had like a ringer of elite. If you ever like go back and watch them, I've watched like a bunch of little mini documentaries on YouTube, and it turns out like they were all in like this factory the same way that like boy bands were in a factory. This factory, and like those bands were kind of formulated by mixing and matching long hair band ringer guys. But the lead guitarists could always like shred, and they were always like 10, 15 years older than the rest of the guys, and you didn't realize it. And that's
Bush. That's Bush. Have you ever seen the lead guitarist of Bush? Like, he's pretty fucking good.
It's true. Poison, that lead guitarist of Poison is like 20 years older than the rest of them. He put on like this hair thing and look different. But I was mad at grunge for killing the guitar solo, man. They killed it. And that was my
killed the guitar solo.
That was my love. White Lion. They got rid of White Lion. Which, if you ever want to go back and see some guy who had insane chops as a guitarist, look at the lead guitarist of White Lion. It's just like this kind of like ballad band from the 80s that are just kind of like foo-foo-y hair band, but the dude could shred just doing like this tap stuff. Anyway.
We sure get off on tangents.
But it turned it turned out like all those 80s bands were just coming out of a factory and fake. Everything's fake. And speaking of fake
band.
Okay, can I just say before we start this, like there's going to be a lot of all you reality show enjoyers out there, there's going to be a lot of people here that try to shame you for that. But there is nothing. No, I will not hear any shaming of reality show enjoyers, okay?
They actually said that like at the beginning of this.
Yeah,
They admitted to.
They really?
Yeah, Brit said that in both of them.
They admitted to their reality show enjoyment, and that you're a jerk. You have anything to say about it? And I just have to say, number one, you're ridiculous if you think any of this is real and not scripted. I watched an episode and a half, which I can't believe I got that far. The first episode, I thought it was going to be kind of a documentary on the crap that happened like a year ago. Reese still says reality shows are the Linkin Park of video.
Yeah, that's true.
John DeLynn had a great moment in this one. I got halfway through it where he said, "And can you really say that it's trash reality if you haven't watched it?" Yes.
All reality is trash, man.
Yeah.
But
what are you talking about? Look at the cover photo. You know it's trash reality. That's like saying, like, oh, do you really know that? How can you say that you're not going to be able to understand anything that Bruce Springsteen says in this new album if you haven't listened to it? Because he's Bruce Springsteen. He doesn't know how to fucking speak.
Oh, one thing real quick, just the last little bit on that Nemo stuff. When he was on with DeLynn said that you're on the right side of history about 5 times. I'm like, please don't use that term. Just stop using that term forever. You're on the right side of history. Yeah. Well, do you know that one of the only reason that you can hate it as much as you hate it is because they're hot women?
Yeah, patriarchy, as Divorce Queen explains.
Yeah, it's patriarchy.
Is Divorce Queen explaining why we're wrong for not liking the show?
She explains that part of, like, one of the reasons that trash reality gets such a stigma is because of the patriarchy. Like, no, it's because it's terrible.
It's so stilted. Like, it is so stilted. The church's preemptive statement, intro and intentions for the first 7 minutes. It's so stilted. You can just see that they're hyper aware of the cameras on them. But then like they keep talking about stuff. We talked about this a while back with reality shows where what's the guy who did the Black Mirror? Charlie Brooker did a really great episode on how much fuckery you can do with reality shows and just how bullcrap it is. And then our other comic, Brit Comics, those 2 guys, what are their names? The Are We the Baddies guys?
Mitchell and Webb.
Mitchell and Webb did a whole episode about a guy not being able to not notice the cameras in his face. He's going, there are cameras right there. There are cameras right there. There's a camera right there. And you can see that these people feel the cameras around them when they're having their fake conversations around them. But one of the things that Charlie Brooker showed on that show is that the cutaway reactions to any single thing is fake. Like any single time you see a cutaway to somebody making a reaction, that is an edit made by a producer and it likely has nothing to do with what's being said in that exact moment. So
if you've ever watched any trash, like we have our guilty drunk pleasures, and one of those is Love Is Blind. That is such trash. And like they'll do the whole, are you gonna stay married? Or are you gonna get divorced? And it's like dun 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 dun.
Yeah,
dun,
they would do the
dun.
music.
It's the soundtrack that you would do when like Tom Cruise is dismantling a fucking bomb, and it's like it shows these cutaways to where they're all both nervous and stuff, and he's like, well, and then you wait like 30 more seconds, and then he says his answer is like, well, of course we talked about this last night. Of course I'm going to say it, and you're like, oh, you definitely, I know you didn't take that long to actually answer that. Yeah. And it's funny because we watched that, and there's this one. So in Love Is Blind, they go into these pods, and they have to sort of talk without seeing each other and see if there's some chemistry, and they move on to the next one or whatever. The editing showed, so this guy and this girl, they're talking, and she says some things about herself, and it's like playing some precarious music, like the dude's like bored, and then he walks out and leaves, right? And they made this guy look like such an asshole throughout the whole season, and then come to find out he's like, you guys edited that. Like he said that on Twitter or whatever. He's like, you guys edited that to make it look like I just walked out on her without saying anything. And I was like, yeah, but he's just mad. He looks bad. And then she gets on there. She's like, no, he didn't walk out on me. Those assholes seriously edited to make him look bad. It's all fucking so much more fake than you could ever imagine.
Oh, who was it that there was somebody, I know it was a stand-up comic or somebody who was talking to Joe Rogan saying like one of the earliest jobs they had was they just transcribed, like it was like a Big Brother type show where they just had cameras on people all the time and like 24/7. And his job was to just listen to everything and literally transcribe everything that happened throughout the day. And then the producers would go through it all and literally chop it up into stories. And that's how that works.
There's been several different times on like Reddit, Ask Me Anythings, and they say I'm a reality show TV writer, and they say I hate to break it to you, not an ounce of anything in there is real. Like if there is some sort of drama or something, we do something to drum it up, and then we edit it to make it look worse and different than it is, and we try to get them all scheduled up. One of the things that's interesting about this that I found out is all the drama that happened a year and a half ago, that when I tuned into this, I thought this was just going to be a kind of general documentary about that. I had no idea it was trying to be a new shitty reality show. I had no clue that's what I was getting into. And when I saw that it was just going to be a stupid Desperate Housewives of Real Salt Lake reality show, I was like, oh, sweet Moses. And it just started going, and you could tell that just every single thing, like they were staged to go talk about. They knew right what they were supposed to talk about and the beats that they were supposed to hit and all that sorts of stuff. Like there's not an ounce of any of this that you can take as actual reality, but only 2 of these girls were part of the original Mom Talk. All the rest of them are like new add-ins to it. So like acting like it's something that's been around and going since forever. Like, no, it's recast in a way,
Yeah.
And
it just popped in. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. It just popped into my head. Like, I don't know if you remember the reference, but stupid Mormon whore video TV show. Remember South Park? The stupid stupid spoiled whore. Like that's the theme song for the show. Stupid Mormon whores.
they could probably resurrect the Snooki wants smash. Taylor wants smash.
I'm a writer. I also have a TikTok called List Likes Words, and I also love.
Oh my gosh!
Feminism. So anybody that's like, who would watch that trash? I do. So that's why I'm very excited to have this conversation today.
And you have 2 master's degrees.
I do have 2 master's degrees, so it's not just
in trash.
Anyway,
probably.
Okay.
I gotta say, like, Britt was pretty on point for most of these. Like, if she could just take out that she likes
The
reality
shame thing,
shows, and then she can stop, just like uncritically talking about the patriarchy. If she could take out those 2 things, I wouldn't have like much like crap to talk about her.
No,
except
she made some pretty good points in both of them. She made the one point when they're at the very beginning of this, they're sort of shitting on this couple who they have a party at this couple's house, and this couple is still very Mormon, and like they bring alcohol and they're like drinking in the hot tub, like out of a flask, and they get kind of pissed and don't invite them to the baby blessing, and they're just talking about how toxic that is. And Britt actually, to her credit, chimes in and says, okay, but like, guys, seriously, do you think that was kind of out of line to go to an active believing Mormon's house and just all get pissed drunk, just blatantly, without even asking first? And they're all like, well, yeah, that was shitty.
Yeah, I actually have that. I'll be able to pull that one up if I can do a search still on their newest one, because that was just from today, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, I'll pull that one up here in a second.
Hey, Samantha.
hello, John, with whom I have beef. Jokes, guys, no beef.
People don't understand British humor or something.
Yep, and that's on me. That's on me for being unlikable. I'm trying to change it. It's a work in progress.
So no jokes from Samantha today, basically.
We'll see.
Tell us who you are, what you do, Samantha.
I also love reality TV, and I'm one half of Self on the Shelf on YouTube and other social medias.
Yep, and you're a coach.
Yes, and I also do coaching.
All right, well, we're glad you're with us.
Does she seem a little embarrassed of that?
Last, but of course you should.
I think you should be embarrassed if you think any of this is real. And that's
I know. But like, she looked like she said, oh goodness, why did you have to mention that? It's quite embarrassing, actually.
So I've got like more than I need, like 50 TikToks pulled up of different women pontificating on this stuff and all the little different things I see. And what I straight up said, and I commented on most of their things, like, you're addicted to porn, you're watching porn. And it's straight up critical consciousness porn. It's like, we can exercise. This thing came out just this week that Nikocado Avocado, you know that dude?
Yeah, that was
dude.
Stupid stuff, man.
The mukbang dude.
He truly lost weight?
He lost all the weight. And so some other people were kind of pontificating about it. Like, this guy knew that whole entire time that he could just play the fat kid to get rich and be that kid. And he purposely kind of knew that you guys just needed like a fat kid to bully for a few years, and he could make a couple $1 million off of it. And then he was just able to turn it off. That's what they claim. You know?
Well, he's claiming that. So he's claiming that the last 2 years he's been playing old videos. So he says he's been playing old videos for the last 2 years while he loses this weight, which I don't know might be true.
I mean, I don't follow him, but yeah,
he lost 250 pounds. Yeah, he would have had to do it in like 7. He would have had to do it in 7 months. 250 pounds. It could be done, but I mean, he supposedly banked up like a bunch of videos that he had been playing, and it was showing it to them. And he 4D chessed all of them, but then supposedly the whole entire thing was so that you guys could have the fat kid to hate because you needed to exercise that bully gene that you had from high school on the fat kid. And I got rich off of it. Screw you.
Interesting.
If that's the case or not, but I think there's something to be said with that. That's what the entirety of reality television is. Speaking of that, like you're talking about the way stuff editing gets done, like whenever there's like a competition show, how every single time there's anything, they have to edit it to make it look like it's a neck and neck finish. And you can see that half the time that it's not a neck and neck finish, but they edit it to make it look like that. I try to like imagine, like, what if you had editing for every single football game done in reality show style. So like every single pass and every single throw had all the maximum drama in it. It was all maximum close, and it was all, they almost won and they almost lost, and just like how
108-7.
Yeah, nothing would ever mean anything because they were able to edit it down to make it look like it was an exciting game. And so when an exciting game ever did happen, you wouldn't know it because everything else was edited to be exciting forever and ever. Like it's porn. It's just like sugar is like the excess version of some sort of carbohydrates being sent directly to your what are those brain chemicals you get? Your dopamine. It's all just like dopamine over excess. And this stuff is porn for critical consciousness. All these young feminist women are addicted to critical consciousness, pontificating. I've got the TikToks to show it, and this is just porn for it. And the people who wrote it knew just right perfectly how to write it up to spark all the interest to make it a critical consciousness porn show.
I'm a spiritual director. I have a master's degree in theology, and I really focus on existential crisis and the void. But also, I enjoy reality TV, and there should be no shame about writing your dissertation and talking about smart things and being educated and also enjoying reality TV. I do not like this stigma. I watch this show. I watch 90 Day Fiance. I watch 600 Pound Life and Intervention and all these shows about human behavior, and I refuse to feel any shame about it.
I love it.
They're not about human.
All right. Well, now that
they're lies though. Like, you're watching. Yeah. You're watching stories. Don't turn off my stories. Yeah, it's just ridiculous.
No, like you're right. It's just porn. It is just porn. There's no content in that stuff.
No, I've had this conversation with one of my friends about 1,000,000 times that we need to expand what we call porn because, like, maybe the Mormons are right about how bad porn is for you, but we're wrong about what is porn. Like, it's not just watching people fucking on screen. It's shit like this.
I can't believe it only says patriarchy 12 times. I thought I was expecting like 40, but maybe it says it more in the other episode. I'll find out.
You want to add anything?
Yeah, I mean, I thought it would be nice to do intentions for this one as we did it for the Ballerina Farm episode, because I feel like these women are victims of patriarchy just as Hannah Newman is, and I didn't want to just do the nice intention.
They're rich chicks who get rich for dancing on TikTok who are victims of patriarchy.
I know. I love that. What percentage of the 12 patriarchies do you think are done by Divorce Queen here?
Probably.
I'm gonna say 10 out of 12.
Because that's why I say is like Brit. I like almost everything Brit does except for her use of patriarchy. That word that might as well just be the devil, you know.
But like the perfect Mormon housewife, I thought it would be just kind of nice to establish that we want to be like compassionate and understanding and non-shaming of a messier flavor of being a victim of patriarchy.
Not to jump right in, but
they aren't victims of patriarchy. I hate to break it to you.
I'm not sure they see themselves as victims. I think they're making a lot more money than any of us.
Yeah, and if you think, I mean, if money is, who's to say it's nationally? But yeah.
Yeah, no, I'm just
playing with you. I didn't mean to say an honest thing. Oh.
I accidentally made a good point. I'm so sorry.
keep up your facade. We'll keep it facade. I mean, that's generally what it is. Like, could you falsified. Could you critically for a second describe to me like what you actually mean by patriarchy? Especially because in most of these cases, you got these chicks who are fighting with each other, rich chicks who are fighting each other over their dance videos, and it's patriarchy. Oh, although I guess the show does show multiple times where supposedly their husbands are baddies to them, as if they aren't completely staged moments all the way through.
And it's not that Mormonism creates maybe narcissists or controlling personalities, but patriarchy certainly can fuel it. And so there's this moment where he's being really controlling. It's a really, he's really showing some narcissism, some really intense abuse, I would say, controlling abuse. And she goes silent. And it's literally in the group that they start saying, like, maybe I watched too much true crime, but like, we need to check on her and make sure that she's okay, that she's alive. Mm-hmm. And that was an actual conversation that they had in the group.
An actual real conversation, but it's real. It's very, very real. It's so real. I'm just going to go through all the patriarchies real quick.
Took off from there. So it just seems like, yeah, I think that's just part of, just a note, I guess. Yeah. The fact that it started because the patriarchy okayed it. Mm-hmm. Thank God. Yeah. Yeah, we have one consistent.
It's such a conspiracy theory.
Okay, here's the thing. This one pissed me off so bad. The only reason that the swinging started is because the patriarchy okayed it. Yes! No, that's like, swinging doesn't work, but that's how swinging is supposed to work. You have to get permission from your fucking spouse in order for it to be swinging, because otherwise it's just normal cheating, you goddamn idiot.
Yeah. One of the things I want to say...
She never shuts the fuck up about consent. She's like, oh, you had to get the consent of the patriarch. Of course you did.
No, it just goes to show, like, they're supremacists. There should be no limits on them at all. Like, that's just all there is to it.
Yeah.
It's understandable that there should be limits on men. That makes total sense. But limits on women, that's patriarchy.
The amount of times that they describe these women as empowered is just mind-blowing. Like, you think this is empowering? These women are getting Botox at 22. They're not empowered.
We don't want to shame.
But that's the patriarchy making them do it. The patriarchy's making them do
it
because we all love the Botox in the 20-year-old phases, and us culturally, we kind of pushed that down on them. We got together in a group and we said, "Hey guys, we're gonna make them put shit in their face. We're gonna make them."
They listen to me, because I've been saying for years, like, ladies, I just me, leave it all alone. You're fine, and they really listen to me. You can tell, like, nobody's getting Botox because I said, don't bother. Go ahead. You have, I'm telling you not to worry about it. So they don't.
Julia writes that important comment. She writes, I was told by my BWA professor to never withhold sex or my husband would turn to porn, cheating, and masturbation. So that's another part of kind of that dark element of sexuality as it's impacted on particularly Mormon women.
I mean, it kind of depends on how long.
Wait, why is that particularly Mormon women?
Yeah, I've heard that take on every sort of person from TikTok, from chicks to women to whoever. That's Mormonism.
I'm like, I don't know. I've met women who are just devastated, like Mormon women who are devastated that their husband started masturbating or looking at porn or whatever, and then you like find out that they haven't had sex in months. And you're like, okay, yeah, I don't feel bad for you. What do you mean? Like, if somebody, look, I'm not saying that you owe a person sex anytime they want it, but when somebody commits to only having sex with, like, you want to have sex, you want a sexual outlet, and when somebody says, you are my exclusive sexual outlet, and I promise you that's what I'm doing. Well, I mean, you gotta do it sometimes, that's sort of implied, isn't it? You could go to the dead bedroom subreddit, and it's insane. There's men and some women there too whose spouse has not had sex with them in years. Yeah. And at that rate, you're like, and then he cheated on me. It was crazy. I'm like, yeah, he should have just divorced you, but like, how shot? You're not married if you're never having sex.
Yeah.
Took off from there. So it just seems like, yeah, I think that's just part of, just a note, I guess. Yeah. The fact that it started because the patriarchy okayed it. Mm-hmm. Thank God. Yeah. Yeah, we have one consistent all the way through. At least that.
Julia writes that important comment. She writes, I was told by my BWA professor to never withhold sex or my husband would turn to porn, cheating, and masturbation. So that's another part of kind of that dark element of sexuality as it's impacted on particularly Mormon women.
And I also think that's part of what is so fascinating about episode 1.
What'd you say?
I said particular. Just again, like, why particularly women? Why Why is it particularly women get weird sexual limits from church? Like, it's not a free for all for men. Like, it's just, I don't know, weird. The men are getting zapped if they're gay.
In the Handmaid's
Tale. So this thing comes
because
up. I don't know if we'll get to it because like there's a bunch of different stuff, and I actually kind of want to look at more some of the insane TikTokers commenting on it. But they get to this scene where I guess some of the girls go to a Chippendale thing, and one of their husbands gets mad that she goes to the Chippendale thing,
and that's controlling.
And they're outraged that it's controlling. It's the patriarchy controlling her for doing that. And I've seen a bunch of different TikTokers talk about it, and every single one of my comments was like, have you come across a Mormon woman and their views on what happens if a guy views porn ever in your life? You know,
everybody else sees the purity culture, the unhealthiness, the internalized patriarchy, how controlling these guys are, how unhealthy their sexual dynamics are. Everybody else outside of the bubble sees it. And so it's really interesting to see that nobody's buying this message that we're progressive because, you know, it's just still so entrenched in purity culture that it's not maybe quite so progressive from the outside as maybe they feel like they're doing on the inside.
But that's all true. And just the fact that Whitney's drinking alcohol with her husband for the first time, that's edgy for Orthodox believing faithful Mormons, at least the ones that aren't kind of breaking the rules in secret, or like the way that they're wearing clothes that aren't, quote, modest from a Mormon perspective, or the fact that they're going to Vegas and partying.
There's a lot of stuff all through the show of them doing wild stuff that Mormons don't normally do, drinking and the sexing and all that sorts of deal. The main chick's gotten pregnant and all that sorts of stuff. They talk for a while on the second episode on, is this actual Mormon culture? And yeah, of course it is. I mean, like Jack Mormons are Mormons. I mean, they've always been around. They've always been there. And Jack Mormons always just, every Jack Mormon I've ever met kind of genuinely believes, or once in a while will go, or maybe they haven't been in a while and still believe or something like that. But I don't know.
Well, they act like, I don't know. They act like the Mormons who were annoyed with this for not accurately representing them are like totally out of line because, well, we're all sinners, and don't you think that sinners belong in church? Whatever. It's like, well, yeah, for sure. But like these people are actively making money off of their sins, you know?
Yeah.
So I don't know. I kind of get being annoyed, but also at the same time, Mormons, just chill the fuck out. It's a stupid trash reality show. And it's kind of like it's watching Amish Mafia, you know? Like this isn't presenting itself as like this is what Mormons are like. This is what the bad Mormons do.
Yeah. Let's see what this patriarchy thing is.
Enjoying satisfaction in sex is absolutely a Mormon thing.
Even though I feel like a vibrator could potentially serve the patriarchy in this context, because if your wife is never having an orgasm, it's like, you got to do something to keep her around. Exactly, yeah. Or she's going to go to Vegas.
I got a hint for you. Everything under the planet, everything on Earth. This is the problem with the patriarchy. This is the problem with that analysis. There's nothing that isn't done negatively, whether it seems like a positive or a negative thing, by the patriarchy. That's the problem with the patriarchy analysis.
It's a feminist faith claim. They start with their conclusion and they work backwards toward the premise. That's always what it is. I got into it with a lady on, and she was being nice, you know, the lady on Lobsters who was like talking about, the devouring mother and how the Mormonism is like pushes us into that because of the patriarchy. Because women are taught in Mormonism that they're just supposed to do everything to make their husbands happy. And I'm like, they just aren't. You know, like how often in Mormonism you can come across women who don't even like their husband?
Yeah.
Like that's just constant.
Youth, masturbation, the forbidden nature of masturbation, pornography, infidelity, patriarchy.
Oh, this is where he's like going through like the list of why this show.
Oh, what this show exposes, yeah.
Yeah, here we go.
Which then pulls the question, is this representing Mormonism at all? And my response to that is, let me just give you a list of some of the topics, just in the first couple episodes, that I've detected. Law of chastity, purity culture, sexual shame, sex is the sin next to murder, inorgasmia or sexual dysfunction, lack of sexual education amongst Mormon youth, masturbation, the forbidden nature of masturbation, pornography, infidelity, patriarchy, early marriage and motherhood, conditional and or unconditional family love, controlling and judgmental parents, toxic codependent dynamics between parents and children and adult children, and couples,
nerd.
word of wisdom stuff, drinking, drug abuse, which is on brand in Utah, shame-based gossip, sort of like henpecking gossip between Mormon women, perfectionism, plastic surgery, perfection in appearance. There's some racism that comes up, boundary policing, catty gossip, queen bee dynamics, and massive hypocrisy.
These are all Mormon traits. That's all the stuff.
Mormon traits.
There's one word I heard.
Mormons do.
There's one thing I heard in that was specifically Mormon, and it was word of wisdom. The rest of those things are every single culture, Western culture out there. The oil, if it's a problem or not. You have the critical conscious people assessing it because they can assess it with anything. They can find it anywhere. The Nita Sarkeesian's there to point it all out to us, no matter where it's not. You just don't realize that it's actually there, no matter what.
And it's young men and women. And women are leaving Mormonism in mass, partly because they feel disempowered because of the patriarchy. So, like, whether or not...
Shut the fuck up.
I categorically...
That's why they're leaving, huh?
God, you fucking
All
nerd.
Empowerment.
God, I hope, damn, John, leave some pussy for the rest of us. Fucking cuttlefish.
Yeah, the show in no way goes far enough in like condemning they're still trying to uplift this culture to a degree that I find very uncomfortable because I'm like, yes, they so clearly are trapped by patriarchy, but they don't even know it yet.
Yeah. So they go on to write.
But
do they not know how Mormon they sound?
Nita Sarkeesian will point it all out to them.
Like, and I'm not trying to paint like all religious marriages as like more unhealthy, but I do think like patriarchy lends itself to more like abusive or toxic dynamics. If you ask people who are religious and like every Mormon knows if you're
talking about marriage, divorce queen. Tell us all about healthy marriages, divorce queen, please.
You know that she takes. Did you watch all of today?
No, I only got.
She takes credit for being the divorce queen.
No, she does. She does all the time. She loves that phrase.
And John,
you're that person.
Gets into a thing of saying like we need to have more divorce celebrations and all that sort of stuff.
Why?
Yeah, well, I mean,
because it means you're leaving a toxic and abusive. No, it does not always mean that. It means that sometimes it means you didn't work shit out.
Yeah, you sometimes you fucked up. It's possible.
Here it is. I'm gonna pull it up. It's on today's episode.
It gets a little bit of it's a divorce party, which we just did an episode on Mormon Stories podcast. Healthy divorce, happy divorce. We haven't released it yet. It's going to be really good. But we actually introduced the idea of a divorce announcement and a divorce celebration.
I love that.
Of just like too many wives of Mormon dentists are being killed. I mean, it's true. The stigma around divorce within Mormonism is way too serious. It's causing way too many people to stay in abusive marriages, way too many people to stay in unhappy marriages. Let's lift the stigma. Let's celebrate people for whatever time they're able to stay together. I think that'll make divorces less acrimonious, less expensive. If people don't feel like they have to blame the other person and battle over the custody and make the other marriage partner look like a sexual predator so that you can get full custody. Like, it's a disaster on every level. This even came out with the Jody Hildebrandt, Ruby Franke, Kevin Franke stuff. It also came out with the Chad Daybell, Lori Vallow stuff. Like, we just got to drop the stigma on divorce in Mormonism and broader. But Mormonism takes it to an 11 because these marriages or temple marriages are supposed to be eternal, and that just raises the stakes for everybody. Anyway, I loved seeing Layla host a divorce party. Hey, any thoughts on that? I guess you're agreeing. Samantha, you're kind of snappy.
John, I love divorce, so I was thrilled
Samantha's
to see
pro-divorce.
Yeah, it was great. And I think like the stakes are especially high.
I love
she's so young. She's 22. She's youngest, right? And so the shame about being divorced already exists. And then the shame of getting divorced at 22 with 2 children is even higher. So it was just.
So I saw this other TikToker say that show is pointing out to everybody that being divorced in your 20s is chic. It's the new cool thing. Everybody's peeing their pants, man. But yeah, so I don't know if they have like that episode coming out soon or something like that. He said they've already recorded it, but it's going to be dropping soon. Let me see if I can find this gal bragging about divorce. You know what?
Troy pointed out something valid here. It sounds like there are systemic problems with divorce. Fix the system, and divorce can be healthy for everyone. especially the children, you know.
How do you fix the system? How you can make it like a happy divorce? We can celebrate the time that we were together.
It's because we've stigmatized divorce. We need to normalize divorce.
Damn it! I think I didn't save the proper one. Anyway, it's this chick saying that divorce is the new chic. It's chic to get divorced in your 20s.
Demure.
It's demure. That's the new word floating around, right? Yep. I guess I didn't save it. Damn it. Anyway, it's impossible to like look up TikTok videos afterwards.
Really great to see.
Was that Layla's second divorce?
No,
was that her second? Was her first?
A lot of the women have been divorced, but that was her first.
Okay.
Anyway, back to this one. You pointed out there was a moment where you thought that she kind of threw some shade. I guess it's around that hot tub discussion, right?
Yeah, I don't think she was trying to throw shade at Sam. She might not know about what, because Britt doesn't spend a lot of time in ex-Mormondom. She does more her Jungian shit, but she basically describes what happened with Cara Burrell and Sam, or at least what I suspect happened with them, and what we know some of it happened. But Sam and Cara had a falling out. We know that Cara was, after they had the falling out, kind of shitting on the idea of polyamory. She talks about how she had sex with a woman. Anyway, Britt goes on about how, like, because John does this stupid ass thing where he's asking her, like, well, do you think that there's more swinging that happens in Mormonism or in ex-Mormonism? And she's like, ex-Mormonism? Like, with ex-Mormons, clearly it happens more often. And he's like, oh, really? Okay. And she describes the situations that usually happen, and it's usually like, oh, they leave the church, maybe they get like tattoos, maybe they decide to open their marriage and they're still very fresh in their faith crisis. They don't really know what they're doing. They have no guiding principles anymore. And a lot of times it's a woman who says, you know what, I think I might be bisexual, and I'm bummed out that I never got to experience that. And they'll have, the husband will be like, well, that's hot. Yeah, go have sex with a woman. And then she'll do it. And then it'll end up kind of messing with them more than they thought it did. And they'll maybe get divorced. And Sam's over there like, yes, that's the patriarchy. No, Sam, that's you. That's literally you. I would not be surprised if she groomed Cara into polyamory. Of course, Cara is also stupid, so.
Mm.
It's not playing.
Damn it. Give me the thing where stop sharing, present, share screen.
Stop sharing. That's our commandment.
Share.
Mormonism. And when you watch Taylor's story, and if you watch it in the context of the swing between order and chaos, you can see that dynamic really clearly. And it's something that I see happen a lot in coaching, which is...
Oh, what are you talking about? I'm trying to find the hot tub part. Just keeps going to YouTube. Why is there no hot tub stuff?
Are you in the first?
Did they say hot tub? Did they say jacuzzi is in the second one?
No, it's in the first one. Trying to think of what they would have said.
So
the drinking in the hot tub, that was in the second one, but the
she says like doing psychedelics or something. What was the phrase that she used?
You look up tattoo. I know she uses that in her rant.
The systemic problems with divorce.
There it is. It was mushrooms. She said do mushrooms.
Yeah.
Do mushrooms and drink coffee?
Common in ex-Mormonism, rare in ex-Mormonism, or
I would say it's very common to, the second that you lose your beliefs, if you don't have some kind
I'll back it up. I think it starts a little bit earlier.
Natasha Helfer, sorry. Whenever you have repressed sexuality, it is going to show up somewhere. So I do think that there is swinging that happens in Mormonism. There's definitely, porn in Utah. This is a thing that's well documented, that whenever you have repressed sexuality, it's going to show up, and it certainly shows up in unhealthy ways in Mormonism. But I see a lot more swinging in ex-Mormonism. because once you take away, once you take away the beliefs, then it's a little bit kid in the candy store. And I see a lot of ex-Mormons jump into opening their marriage. They had a faith crisis yesterday and they're opening their marriage today without getting the sexual education that they need in order to make that healthy. So I see this across the spectrum in Mormonism.
What would be the sexual education?
All the way until the,
I was common in ex-Mormonism, rare in ex-Mormonism, or
what's that?
What would be the sexual education that to make an open marriage healthy?
I was with her all the way up until that. Like, no, that's like you're not going to coach somebody into how whether making that work or not.
They get into that later where they talk about how I had a friend that was non-monogamous and he says the mistake most people make is doing it to try to save their marriage, but you have to have a really healthy marriage for it to work.
Oh shit.
I would say it's very common to, the second that you lose your beliefs, if you don't have some kind of structure there, if you have a lot of repressed everything, that there is a tendency to want to open your marriage right away because you got married at 19, you didn't know who you were, you certainly didn't know about your own sexuality at that, at the time that you got married. And so there will be a tendency to do mushrooms and drink coffee and get a tattoo and open your marriage. And I think that's something we just have to be honest about. Those are almost rites of passage.
Yeah, you don't have to do that dumb stuff. You really don't. It is actually all optional.
Yeah. Share screen.
That's something we just have to be honest about. Those are almost rites of passage in ex-Mormon culture. And sometimes it can be a rite of passage that's healthy and part of your journey. And sometimes we can also say that there's some problematic aspects to that too that we can be honest about as ex-Mormons or post-Mormons.
All right. Thanks, Britt. Okay. What about Alyssa and Samantha? Anything you want to add?
Yeah, I don't know. My husband and I, no one has ever pitched us to, swing with them. I'm a little offended by how common it seems to be. But I do think kind of like what Britt was saying, it seems like there is something that happens, it's something that I hear stories about. But I do think especially within Mormon culture, having premarital sex is way more common than we would like to think sometimes when we're in the Mormon bubble. So I definitely think these things happen. And I think it is especially relevant to the concept that it's the sacred.
Yes, I mean, they got into all the hot tub alcohol stuff and it kind of got just the same in the second one. But let me see. Here it is.
It's hard because the Mormon, especially because it's someone's parents, it's not even just Zach's house, but it's hard because they have this magical thinking around alcohol where they're even it's mere presence in our hot tub, it's sully the whole, property. But then it's also but you're in someone else's home and you kind of need to respect that.
I think so too. I think
both you, divorce
queen. Ick around the alcohol.
I completely agree. That was a hard scene to watch. And it was all,
And Britt, I want to say yes to this idea that we could do entire seasons on ex-Mormons behaving badly. And so I want to celebrate that you're bringing that to our attention. And
celebrate it.
Neutralize what you said. But I do want to distinguish between...
You got to say anything everything in the gayest way possible.
That might be just a relic of this being reality TV and they're trying to create contrived drama because the disinviting...
Oh, now it's there when you're talking about...
Baby blessings. I think we've already established that's real, everyday lived Mormonism. I think it's almost unheard of for ex-Mormons to bring a flask of alcohol to a Mormon, family celebration.
Oh, shut up, nerd.
Where believers can see it. To me, that is categorized more as reality TV drama than something that an ex-Mormon would ever realistically do. But I don't know. Am I wrong?
I don't know on that one, John.
Well,
disagree with me. What do you think?
I have a story.
Okay, yeah.
Well, me and my partner Jared, we bought a bottle of wine to Thanksgiving once at his Mormon family's house. But we knew the vibes enough to know that it wasn't going to be this huge, it's they maybe would have preferred it not to be there, but you kind of have to suss out the situation, I think. And yeah, there's something specific about the vibes of passing a flask around in a hot tub that's okay. Probably don't need to do that.
Britt, push back. We love it.
Yeah, I think sometimes ex-Mormons, because we have what's called delayed adolescence as a people, we didn't get normal high school experiences. The whole hot tub scene, and I've seen multiple people say this on TikTok, it looked like adults acting like 8th graders, and the whole world saw it. And I think that we can own up to that was a little bit 8th grade. And I don't think it's as uncommon as you're saying, John, because I think sometimes ex-Mormons love to sometimes kind of rattle things or show that they're not ex-Mormon. We have our own identity markers as ex-Mormon. And I think sometimes we can be a little bit childish about that. And sometimes bring out alcohol or say things that aren't respectful, or we want to look expressly ex-Mormon because we want to show that we're so not Mormon, which is a very Mormon thing to do. And so I don't know. I think that there are times that more ex-Mormons can act like what the world does in 8th grade. And I just think that was one of those moments, and it's not that rare. I don't think ex-Mormons acting like 8th graders is that rare.
Yeah, it's challenging when you're dealing with other people's sacred cows as well. Where do you draw the line? If someone wanted a coffee to get through filming night in the hot tub, would that have been seen as, it can be hard to know where to draw the line there.
Like the most common coffee scenario I hear about in ex-Mormonism is like having to hide the coffee
People hiding
maker.
it, yeah.
More ex-Mormons hide their coffee maker when their parents or in-laws come visit. Like,
Even though they know they don't go to church anymore.
Yeah.
even though they're known to be no longer in the church, ex-Mormons hide the coffee maker. That's where I'm coming from, Britt. Don't you agree that's pretty standard?
But that
Yeah,
does
no,
look
I get that. I get that. But that's like with your own parents versus this is like a hot tub. And so I think we're seeing like ex-Mormon hot tub behavior. And if you know anything, if you know anything, like let's be honest about the ex-Mormon community for a second, that when we start meeting together to talk about our faith trauma and everybody's marriages are kind of, you know, getting a little rocky, people are trying alcohol for the first time in hot tubs, like there is an essence of that kind of ex-Mormon high school hot tub behavior. That is a thing. That is a thing.
Well, Brett, I believe that happens when you're in a hot tub. That never happens when I'm in a hot tub. All right, let's talk really quickly about.
Yeah. Anyway, they continue to talk about the Botox for the wrinkles and the young girls, and that's the patriarchy, and then showing off the wealth, and that's the patriarchy, and then the prosperity gospel, and that's the patriarchy, and then modesty stuff, and that's the patriarchy. But you get it. And then, of course, you go over to TikTok land, and it is just a shitstorm of think pieces like this.
The biggest scandal in Secret Lives of Mormon Wives, in my opinion, is not anything that that's described to us as a scandal in the show, but actually it is that baby blessing ceremony. So the baby blessing ceremony, all the men in the family get together around the baby and bless the baby with the priesthood or something. This church gives much too much power to men. The women and all the work, the woman glue the baby inside her, push the baby out of her, and then the men just say, no, women, y'all stay over there. We're going to be over here in our little circle blessing the baby.
Did it work?
Exactly. You're so if the patriarchy is not real and you don't think it's real, you know, what's going on there? There is a pro-social little thing for all the different men to give this little traditional thing for the kid to show that they're all going to be there and for it. It's not scandalous. You know, it's good.
I don't know if you saw this, but Mitchell started talking a little bit about some of his faith trauma, and I think that we definitely need to honor that and celebrate it. Mitchell mentioned that his mom made him go to Mutual on Wednesdays, and that was part of his faith trauma. So I just think that we need to sit and honor that.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mitchell.
Listen to this shit.
I'm so sorry.
An infuriating thing about this whole like mom talk Secret Lives of Mormon Wives show is
I hate you.
Watching these gorgeously beautiful women be married to quite literally some of the fuggliest men I've ever seen.
That's
and
the scandal.
I grew up right in their town in Highland, Utah. That is my people. When I make my soda videos visiting my hometown and talk about an Alpine mom, these ladies are the Gen Z version of Alpine moms. And so I feel like I have a right to speak on this. And it's why Mormon men have such audacity. Is because the ugliest people in the world are bagging models. And they think that they're owed that. And it's so upsetting and frustrating to me.
They don't. They hate themselves. I promise. I promise you. Every active Mormon male hates himself and thinks that he is just so lucky that this woman would deign to grace him with her presence.
Yeah. And I wonder if he makes a lot of money.
Yeah, I wonder if that has anything to do with it.
I wonder if she enjoys any of the money.
Mormon wives' husbands and just how unattractive they are. Where Mormon women are kind of exceptionally gorgeous, the Mormon men are not. And there's a reason for that.
There's more of these?
There are currently...
I've got 50 of them. And it goes, and it goes, and it goes, and it goes. And this is why I'm saying this is porn. This is porn brain. And this is toxic femininity. If there was ever any sort of patriarchy, it's not even matriarchy. It's like catty catriarchy.
It's
like,
the Mormons, remember, that caused women to get gossipy and be shitty to each other. Remember, John said that. And a million other of these dopes have said that.
These shows just they just light off a litany of these hot takes from these women who just say shitty things about everybody on the show entirely, and mostly the men, and all the men are horrible, controlling, terrible, worst things in the world. And we're living in a patriarchy, folks. Like, that's the picture that we've lived in a world where this is all I've heard my whole life. This is what I've heard my whole damn life. This is what we've lived in. This is the soup we're in.
This is the women version of the nice guy syndrome. Yeah. Because I feel like most of what the nice guy syndrome is men, like stupid men who don't realize that women are different than men, being like, I don't understand. I'm really quiet and I'm really nice and I smile real pretty and I do these things for like just to look nice and presentable or whatever, and these women don't like me. Like that's because that's not what women like. That's what men like in women. Men like a woman who is like, she's strong, but she's, you know, she's meek. She might be shy. She might be somewhat quiet. She has a decent sense of humor. All this that you look at like anime characters. That's what a lot of dudes like, is that like the really shy one. But then this is the other end of that. This is incel. This is the nice girl complex where she projects what women like, or what she's saying that these men are ugly. I got lost in my own metaphor. Go on.
8 billion people on our planet. The Mormon Church claims 17 million members. Let's say.
Could you imagine like a guy getting on TikTok and just talking about like how ugly all the different women are, and the men are just hot, and they just got these ugly ass wives, and getting 10,000 likes for it because we live in a patriarchy.
Half of those, I'm going to round up to 8 million, are men. An estimated 50% of those aren't active, so that brings us down to 4 million. In those 4 million men, a lot of them are kids, a lot of them are already married, grandpas. So let's say there's 2 million active single Mormon men. I think that's a gross overestimation, but we're going to go with that now. The Mormon dating pool is very, very, very small compared to the rest of the population. There's a lot of pressure on attractive Mormon men to stay abstinent and not get kicked out of the church. I was thinking of all of the Mormon men that I have ever grown up with, gone to seminary with, personally dated myself, guys at college, etc. And the attractive ones almost overwhelmingly ended up like sleeping with their girlfriend, not going on their missions, and they wouldn't be people that I would consider somebody that I wanted to marry. So I have a theory that the men that are left in the Mormon church that are active, hopefully have gone on missions, temple worthy, the guys that you would want your daughters to marry are the least attractive to begin with. In my whole entire lifetime, I have only known a handful of attractive men within the Mormon church. I'd say Lucky Blue Smith is the hottest ever in the history of Mormons. Steve Young was pretty fine back in the day. He's not anymore. I used to live in his neighborhood. Sorry.
He's not, why? Because he's 65.
He's old.
No heat. And honestly, one of the reasons why I married my now ex-husband, Jake, was that after spending a couple
and you'd marry Steve Young now? You would marry him right now for all his money right this second?
4 years at church schools and growing up going to seminary and being surrounded by all these really meh Mormon men, he was the hottest, finest return missionary that I had ever seen. When our bishop forced us to get married, it's like, yeah, this sucks, but at least our kids are going to be gorgeous. And they are. And Mormon men don't age well. It's not like the women, like not at all. When I got divorced 5 years ago and I had just left the Mormon church, initially I was only dating Mormons. And I don't know why, I just thought that they were still the good guys, even though I didn't personally believe. And I was dating a lot of like Jack Mormons who didn't really believe in the church like myself.
You're so full of shit. Like it's just not true what you're saying at all. I know 1,000 dudes who are out of your league. Sorry, and are Mormon. We have a fourth guy who doesn't come around here who is painfully handsome. Sorry to break that to you. We can't. Jonathan tries to make Kevin ugly in AI, and he can't do it.
Yeah.
Kevin's
AI
easily
is incapable. It won't do
Kevin's
it.
easily the most attractive out of all of us, and he's the Mormon. That's a stupid theory. You think of all the missionary companions you had that were like very attractive dudes that are still like active in the church. Like my trainer, really good looking dude, and he's still active in the church, and he's an orthodontist now. Like he's rich, and so no, that's
He really struggles with the ladies.
It's absolutely wrong. I'm sorry, you're just wrong.
Secret Lives of Mormon Wives reacted to the women going to Chippendales on their Vegas trips.
When I got to this part of the show, watching as an ex-Mormon, my jaw dropped, not because I was surprised, but because of how unsurprised I was that a
Shut
Mormon
up.
man, very much emboldened and fueled by certain Mormon doctrine, would be so toxic and controlling to his.
Here's the trick that they pull on you that you don't know. If those guys went to a strip club and those women got upset, that's also the patriarchy.
It's always the patriarchy.
Wife. I'm not saying that all Mormon men are this way, but I'm saying that if you have a tendency to be this way, Mormon doctrine certainly can fuel this kind of behavior. The Mormon church teaches
Only Mormon men get upset if their wives go to Chippendales. It's just them.
To this day that only men are allowed to hold the priesthood power. They are the ones that preside over their families. They lead the family, and they are the ultimate decision makers. You can see how quickly that would landslide into controlling behavior. Not only that, but growing up as a Mormon woman, I was taught that it was my job to protect the priesthood, to protect the men. I was told many times that I should dress differently so that I didn't tempt men. I think you saw that dynamic play out as well. And Jen felt like she needed to act and behave a certain way for Zach's sake and not for her own sake. Not to mention, all of this was happening while Zach was gambling away Jen's money, which is also very much not allowed in Mormonism, which just reveals the double standard of men.
It reveals a double standard because you want to know what, like, I know like 1,000 stories of the Mormon guy gambling away all the money while the girls go to Chippendales. It just happens again. I mean, it's just so typical of Mormon typicalness.
Basically an archetype.
It just happens so much. Yeah, I did seriously. Like, here, I'll just show my screen here. Like, look at all these. We don't want to watch all these.
Holy
like,
fuck.
Holy shit.
Yeah. Maybe a few more, but I mean, this stuff's fake and it does not deserve critical consciousness dissection. Like, stop it. Like, come on. You don't need to be doing this. It's so ridiculous. Oh, I don't know if I want to keep talking about these vapid whores. And I'm not specifying if I'm talking about the show or other people. No, I'm just kidding. I'm talking about the show right there. He says based on the divorce queen. What's people been saying in the comments? I've been watching. Wait, so he's leaving the church more women oppressed by patriarchy or hot guys getting laid? Yeah. It's so stupid. It's stupid. All that analysis was stupid. Like, the Lynn show went through every single episode, and this show's gonna be 10 seasons long. Are they gonna go through every single episode and break them all down of what it shows about the patriarchy? Flip, I just barely noticed your name. See, Nemo, God does answer prayers. It's pretty good. I don't know if I want to keep talking about. Is there anything else to say about this vapidness that's fake and vapid?
The vapicity.
It sounds unbelievably stupid.
Yeah, I just saw a post from like Hulu on Facebook, and I just said, "Eat your slop, people. Like, slop up. Like, take the slop, sloppy sloppies." Anyway, do we have any memes of that one? I can't remember if we did. I didn't get to the Nemo memes that Jared made, and they are very good. So we got to get to them. Back to the Nemo memes.
Did we talk about presidential debate?
Nope, haven't got there yet. We started with the Nemo. We made our way through the vapid whores, and now we are going to talk about, I guess, the presidential debate and the fats getting gobbled up. Let's see here. There's Oaks throwing Nemo into the briar patch. Facebook marked safe from getting kicked out of an evil pyramid scheme today. Condemning an organization as harmful, evil, and bigoted, or just asking questions. Corporate needs to find the difference between these two pictures. And there's Nemo.
It's the same picture.
It's the same picture. But when I'm in a feigning victimhood competition and my opponent is Nemo. An atheist, a vegan, and an excommunicated John DeLynn walk into a bar. How do I know? Because they told everyone within 2 minutes. Nemo, you are an evil organization run by corrupt liars. Mormonism. Okay, we're kicking you out. Nemo. I think that's it. I don't know if I had any posts on the if we have any memes from the What was this one? Oh, that's why you got kicked out of Ex-Mormon. Is it only females can get pregnant? Source. That you said something like that, and that's what got you kicked out of the Facebook Mormon page, right?
So there was two things that got me kicked out, according to Liz. There was a guy that he basically did that thing where they're talking about. He made the comparison of pedophilia as like sort of a. I mean, it's. He made the comparison to trans stuff with pedophilia, and it was actually very innocuous. Like it wasn't even him calling them pedophiles. It was him in sort of the same way as you earlier said, like, oh, if there was like an electroshock therapy to get rid of pedophilia, would you do that? And it's that type of comparison. And I responded.
Are you even allowed to talk
people,
about it in a serious way? Yeah.
No, I know. And well, I responded to the people responding to him. And I'm telling them, like, I think you're being absurd in this. And Liz was like, oh, you responded to him without refuting what he was saying. You're tacitly agreeing with him that they're pedophiles. I was like, okay, he was not saying that they're pedophiles. All right? You are stupid if you think that's what was going on. And the other thing that got me kicked out was we were talking about male and females. And I said, no, trans men are females. I just said that. And it's funny because I was like, is that what got me kicked out? She's like, yep, that was the other thing that got you kicked out. And I was like, it's factually true. And she sent me some dismissive meme like, oh, I'm not going to argue this. You know, I'm right. It's factually true. In fact, only females can be trans men. Like, it's exclusive to females. Males cannot do it.
Yeah, that's true. Totally the facts.
Well, speaking about patriarchy and males and females and all that sort of stuff, did you know that if you could be like Tim Waltz's masculinity or Doug Emhoff's modern day sex symbol masculinity, you would be truly real deal sexy?
What?
I can't handle it.
That was all based around David Hogg putting out some quote of him. It's kind of there, but it's too small. But he's talking about maybe we are chasing away too many young men. And then Wesley Yang was noticing, like, look at these guys trying to pass off like who our masculine people are. And then there was this NPR did a testosterone test of Ira Glass and the other different people on it. And just like happened with who was the Try Guys? Remember when they testosterone?
Yeah, the Try Guys did it.
Yeah, so they tested the testosterone of all of the NPR guys around Ira Glass, and they were all dangerously low, like in the 100 range.
So how often do you watch Scott Adams?
Pretty often. So
he has this segment that he does at like the very beginning of every show, and I love it because it feels very validating because it's a thing I've been harping on forever, where he just brings up a scientific study that just didn't need to be a scientific study because the results were just so fucking obvious. Like, did you really need to do a study that going 20 miles an hour over the speed limit would result in more speeding tickets? No, you could have asked me and I would have told you, yes, that's going to result in more speeding tickets. But instead you spent millions of dollars of government grant money doing that study. I feel that's what I felt when the Try Guys did their testosterone thing, because I had seen a bunch of the Try Guys shit. I'm like, you guys didn't have to test your testosterone. I could have told you. Like, you just asked me, you think these guys are low T? Like, oh, dangerously. I think they might make me question the sex binary. I wonder what John DeLynne's T would test at. Mitchell says, wait, so are more people leaving the church are as oppressed women, or are the patriarchy hot guys trying to get laid? That's where, I guess if you're a hot guy, you got to leave the church to get laid. I saw Troy say open marriages only work for those who have experience with the Polish KGB. Oh, that's true. Do you remember? That was just this week. I was going to pull that up, but I guess I forgot it. That guy who works with Cara Burrell and they tried to call out Tim Ballard had this big fake story about getting kidnapped by the KGB overnight, but then never ever telling his president and never ever telling his family. But on his mission, he was kidnapped, interrogated overnight by the KGB, naked in a cell room.
Wait, when was this supposed to have happened?
Right after the Iron Curtain.
97, 98 or something like that. Yeah. It was a tall tale of a story. It did not sound, it sounded about as truthful as some of Tim Ballard's stories. So I guess that's why he runs around with that guy. but I cannot believe a guy would get overnight kidnapped with a greenie missionary as his companion, and his president wouldn't find out about it. Like, come on, like, what are you trying? And then never told his parents until years later either. Like, what are you talking about, dude? Anyway, should we get to rescuing? Oh, wait a minute. Here's another thing of masculinity. Who's that right there? Like, I don't know if you noticed, like, divas. We noticed that you always have like these super hyper masculine posts. So we made him extra super juicy, man. He's gonna be voting Republican all the way down.
Yeah, I heard the more tea you have, the more likely you are to vote Republican.
But there's Jonathan, full T right there too. Full Chad Jonathan.
He makes himself look like that, and he quadruples my fucking soy intake, bastard.
I was gonna show this for some more testosterone. I shouldn't be showing this, so I scribbled out his name. It's Jay Washburn. Jay Washburn's invitations have been sent for the bachelor party. Philosophy and literature, movies and games, and general male enrichment.
What does? Did we have a list of things that Jackson would think is male enrichment?
Philosophy is so, I guess. But
yeah, Foucault. Like, let's debate the merits of the age of consent and how oppressive it is on children who you oppressive adults think are not sexual beings.
I was going to title this general male enrichment, but I mean, you know, he's semi-public figure with all his stuff that he posts up there. And I mean, I saw that and I was like, oh, all right, man, I'm telling tales out of school, I guess, but general male enrichment for a bachelor party. All righty. Is the cure to male loneliness clearing apartment buildings of violent Venezuelan gangs with the boys?
Fuck yeah.
On Lord of the Rings, you got to feel bad for the little orcs because the orcs have families and babies. Did you know that? Did you know the orcs had families and babies? Flip, do you feel bad for the orcs?
I fucking hate this so much because the orcs are clearly a fucking archetype. They're not meant to reflect an actual group of people.
No. You got to have feelings for the orcs too.
No, wait, really?
Yeah,
the orcs now have. Do you know this show's written by some Mormons too?
The showrunners of Mormon, right?
Yeah, and
now
the orcs have wives and babies that they have to worry about.
No way. Like that's just. I mean, yeah, and how soon do we figure out that the orcs are just being oppressed by the elves the whole time? And
well, they already had I don't know if you saw any of season 1. I saw like 2 minutes of it, but there was a whole storyline. There was a whole storyline where the elves came in and went to a human space, and there's like some humans talking about how they're coming in here and taking all of our human jobs and doing them better because they're elves.
No way.
What
was that guy?
Maybe right before we get to the Haitian carnivore diet, I will show one last little thing about males and testosterone and the patriarchy and the women's and the stuff. We gotta watch one quick Ryan Long video. Remove. When he says a woman is funny.
So if you want to set me up with your girlfriend, I'm listening. Pitch me on it.
She's funny.
Yeah, I'm up. Thank you. Next topic.
What? What's wrong with being funny?
There's nothing wrong with being funny, but funniness is a secondary characteristic, not a primary one.
What?
Okay, if you said she was hot and then also funny, great. But no man with honest intentions is describing a woman as funny and also hot. Hotness would be up front and center unless, of course, you were struggling for selling points.
Why do you have a graph?
Normally, if you were trying to sell a guy on a woman, you would mention her looks first, then assure me she's not crazy or been smashed by everyone. Then you might discuss how funny she is as a bonus, but for God's sakes, not the main course.
I don't know, man. My girl says she's really funny.
Well, now we're in an even worse position because coming from a female friend, a funniness cosign means very little. These women are more than happy to let their friend inaccurately be described as funny as long as they still see themselves above that friend and a trait they value higher, for example, looks or achieving life goals. In that case, these women will throw funniness claims around like participation trophies.
What is happening right now? What is this?
By the way, even when they're not doing that, girls will be inclined to call their female friend funny simply because she considers herself to be funny and engages in the act of trying to be funny the most, which her friends will now hastily label as funny. The same way that if a guy described himself as fashionable and always had new outfits and hats, you might just pass along that fashionable claim without even thinking about verifying.
I don't know.
Which, again, is not the end of the world to have a self-described funniness diagnosis if it wasn't paired with the absence of a primary characteristic. But since she's not even hot enough for you to mention in your original description, there's a decent chance this funny you mentioned could just manifest as annoying.
I mean, I told her you're funny.
Funny can be used as a primary characteristic to describe a man if it's coming from another man. Whereas a woman-to-woman funniness diagnosis is only based on attempts, males generally need to see that funny plane landed. So the cosign generally represents a consensus of the male peers who also have respect for the value of their funny cosign, like in the case of you describing me.
Well, what if it wasn't me that said you were funny? What if it was my girl that said you were funny? Does that change anything?
Obviously it does. Then we're back to funny being a supplementary characteristic as long as the gender of both parties is the same. If the description of me to this allegedly funny woman is coming from a woman, there would also need to be a primary characteristic it's paired with. For example, good job and funny is in good shape and funny. Once again, funniness is a characteristic that raises the value of the primary positive trait.
All right, well, if you're done with whatever this is, she's also pretty hot.
There it is. So even after I badgered you that hard about the look, surely you would have thought you juice on that description. And even with that added juice, all I get is pretty hot. So who the fuck knows what that means?
She has a good personality, a great personality.
Good personality. I don't even know where to begin with that one. And I think for the both of us, it would be better if you just left.
This is my house.
Now, please.
Well, someone's got to date her because she hangs out here all the time and she's very annoying.
that might all seem super sexist, but I hate to break it to all you Christopher Hitchens lovers. Go back and read this article from Vanity Fair in, I don't know what, 2007, Why Women Aren't Funny by Christopher Hitchens.
Classic.
Do you want to know why women are less funny? It's because they don't have to be funny.
Yeah. It's
That's
a secondary trait. It's a secondary trait.
They
don't take it from us. Take it from Christopher Hitchens. We know y'all.
The funniness of a woman does not determine her mating prospects at all.
Yeah.
It definitely determines it. Like that can be a main selling point for a male.
Yeah.
Oh, here we are to it. I'm gonna run the restroom, but if you guys want to start talking about your thoughts on the debate, I'm all
like okay, because there's no hard confirmation this is happening. There's a lot of talk, but like I don't know, the whole thing just ends up serving as a distraction. That's the thing that's dumb about this. Like unless it comes out, which I think is very unlikely, that this is actually a widespread thing in this community or where there's Haitian immigrants. Because it's all just a distraction from the reality. Like, no, look, doesn't matter who or where or what or when. There's large scale immigration is hard.
And but there's nearly 20,000 Haitians in this
yeah, no, that's
city
when they talk about like the
50,000 people.
Yeah, they said 60,000 people. And in the last year or two, they've gotten 50 or 15,000. Like a 25% of their population showed up, and it's Haitian refugees. You know, it's like, okay, it doesn't matter where that is. That's gonna be hard for everybody. It's gonna be difficult, and there's gonna be weird, clashy difficultness. And and that's the thing. It's like because everybody's talking about the freaking pets thing. But like when you watch that guy complaining to the city council, like I think was it Elon Musk? I don't know. Somebody retweeted it. Somebody shared it in our group. But it's and it's a black guy. He's not a MAGA Republican, and he's complaining to the city council, saying and he's talking about like traffic and litter and trespassing and all this other stuff. He's like not even talking about the pet stuff. He's just talking about all these issues. And apparently there's that whole thing where like an immigrant crashed into a bus. I don't know, and like the real stuff is just gonna get washed away because we're just gonna be talking about the fucking is the cats thing real or not,
Yeah,
because that's things like everybody's like, because everyone's trying to point out like, oh yeah, there's that lady who was arrested for. It's like, well, yeah, but she was 150 miles away and not Haitian.
She's
and
not Haitian.
I think she was very clearly. I think she was very clearly crazy. I think it was.
I think she was on drugs. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
JD Vance
clearly something weird.
JD Vance made a point, and he had a good point. Is like the memeing and all that stuff brings about the attention of those 20,000 Haitians being dumped on the city and that sort of deal. But there is also a lot of video proof of people claiming that they see it happening. And then there was even another one of like this Haitian daughter of a guy said her dad came to town. They definitely like carry like those voodoo traditions and animal killings, and they will kill and eat animals. Christopher sent us some videos of some of the animal catching and eating that happens all over Europe and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And but it all is just a meme thing. Yeah.
There's a festival in Peru where they eat cats.
Yeah.
And they have an annual festival of cat meat festival.
This does feel to me like the first time the meme wars are really back on, though. It's like we've gotten into memeing instead of like talking about the actual stuff. I think this meme is generally almost the only thing that came out of the whole debate. Like, what else do you think came out of the debate? Yeah, besides just the memeing of the pet?
I'm shocked that this was the more memeable moment. I really thought that I have the concepts of a plan would be a much more like that's a hilarious. That sounds like it was written.
Did he say that? I have the concepts.
Yeah, no. She says this guy doesn't even have a plan, and he goes, "I have the concepts of a plan."
He was talking about if he got rid of the Affordable Care Act. But
I just can't believe that. Like
the answer to that is no plan. The answer is turn it back to the market. That's what the answer is.
Yep.
I just could not believe, like, because I heard you guys, like, you guys were talking about the debate, and it's funny because like I was only half paying attention to what you guys were saying in the group, and I'm like, is the Jacob Hansen Nemo debate happening? What are they talking about? And then I was like, oh, the presidential debate. I'm like, all right, well, let's see what happens. And I'm not kidding. I turn it on. And the first thing that happens is an advertisement because I don't have YouTube Premium. And then Kamala Harris goes, and he said, fine people about Nazis. And I'm like, no fucking way. No fucking way. And the other thing is, like, it's kind of weird that, like it annoyed me a little bit that Trump was kind of weak on these. Like, that's been debunked. Like, I kind of wish that you would call out the moderators right there. Like, hey, you guys can pull the clip right now if you want. You guys can do that. Why don't you guys do that? Pull the clip right now and show it.
He's pretty weak on refuting the stuff. I guess the other memeing that came out of this is that Trump had to debate the moderators more than he had to debate Kamala. I would have to say,
that's the other thing, 'cause I think I watched 5 minutes of it and I saw all the bullshit. I saw the fine people lie, and then I saw the moderators fact checking Trump, and I'm like, okay, this is so rigged. And like, and also, I can't believe how many people. Like, I mean, even on the left, we're like, Kate, did you not notice the moderators were clearly against?
I saw a video where CNN mentioned it. And CNN said that the moderators, I couldn't believe it. Yeah, it was pretty wild.
That is pretty wild. But it also might be that they just don't mind throwing some dirt on a competitor.
Yeah, it could be. But I mean, I got to say, like, I don't think like Kamala fouled out. People thought she might foul out.
No, I have to say, like, I mean, I only watched a little bit, and I listened to like Ben Shapiro talk about it. And the little bit I saw fit exactly with what Ben Shapiro said, which basically was that Kamala overperformed and Trump underperformed. Neither by a huge margin. No, it wasn't like knockdown, drag out, whatever. But like, yeah, just generally, like Kamala did better than I expected. Trump did worse than I expected, but not by a huge amount.
Let me pull up something that we mentioned and talk about. Britt again, although it's a complete different subject, but Britt was talking about the Mormon housewives thing. But she had her own little TikTok video that talked about something that is generally only talked about in dissident right circles, and she landed on it.
What?
That's the. I mean, we talked about this a little bit on the thing, but check this out.
The Scandinavian countries are not a model for what America can be. Whenever I talk about the positives of religion, that shared myths help to drive culture and provide community resources and all kinds of resources, I always get the same response. We don't need religion. The Scandinavian countries are doing just fine without religion, and they have very high quality of life measures. And the reason that they can do so well without religion is because it is a small homogenous group. When you have a small homogenous group with culture, you have enough social trust to not need a shared myth. They already have a sense of identity and a sense of social trust in the community. They also don't have the same religious history. So over time, society itself has been the one building social safety nets with the economic prosperity that they've had. And so they actually need religion less to provide those social safety nets. And America is not a small homogenous group that instantly has identity and trust with each other. We are far too big and complex for that. So here then is the key question. If white American culture is essentially Christianity, and Christianity wiped out all other aspects of culture from all of the places that we immigrated from, then how much of Christianity in America do we want to keep because it's our culture? And that question is being discussed a lot. Ayaan Hirsi Ali and Richard Dawkins recently had a conversation where Richard Dawkins said, I'm a cultural Christian. I want the cathedrals and I want the hymns and I want the Christmas and I want, the history of this. And I think if we lose that, then we essentially lose any culture that we have as a country in the UK. And so he wants all those aspects. He just wants to not have the beliefs. And the root of Jesus, like Jesus as a historical person, is not that bad of a character, honestly. So as Americans are leaving organized religion and stepping away from traditional Christianity, at least by some measures, we have to have the discussion of how much of this do we want to keep, because what is our culture without it?
So that concept of the Nordic countries not being a good model for the U.S. is a long time talking point of the right and dissident right. I can show you here. Here's a year ago, Curtis Yarvin, the great big boogeyman of the dissident right, the guy who supposedly got J.D. Vance up into those whole concepts of like techno-authoritarianism, supposedly. Here's him talking about Haiti and the Nordic countries. Haiti in the Nordic countries a year ago.
Another place with an unfortunately very high crime rate is Haiti. And as you may know, Haiti has been in the news lately because the State Department is proposing its nth invasion of Haiti. How would you propose applying your Norwegian model to Haiti?
Well, I think that Haiti makes my point, so thank you for that, as much as would be humanly possible to do with any example of the world, because if you wanted to pick the single country in the world that was least like a Nordic social democracy, it would be Haiti, which, frankly, vastly more closely resembles anarcho-capitalism.
Wait, run that last part past me again.
They have that Haiti, how much of a welfare state does Haiti have? How much of a regulatory state does Haiti have? One of the things in the WikiLeaks cables, the State Department cables that were released, that were leaked, is that there was an effort during the first Obama term to increase the minimum wage in Haiti to, I believe, the princely sum of about $5 US a day. That was successfully lobbied against, among others, by the American State Department on behalf of American companies. That's about as weak a regulatory state as you could hope for. Power is widely dispersed. Again, this is one of the least social democratic countries on the planet.
Do you suppose that's a cause or an effect? Have you spent a lot of time at the world? Have you, I actually, when I was 6 or 7, I lived in the Dominican Republic, which is next door to Haiti. I'm sort of wondering why you think that this model has not been more widely applied in the third world, given the fact that these policies can turn Haiti into Norway.
Well, I don't think that your lived experience of being there is actually very relevant. I think what's relevant is the trivially available public data that you yourself just recited a minute ago, right? The nth intervention in Haiti like Jean-Bertrand Aristide, when he ran for president of Haiti, his original campaign slogan, swear I'm not making this up, was that he wanted to raise the Haitian people from misery to poverty. Right? This is a very unambitious reform program. Right? This is the most.
So I go into more detail, but one of his favorite questions to ask people and get them tripped up on is to say, could I replace all the people from Haiti into the Nordic countries and replace all the people from the Nordic countries into Haiti, and the Haiti people would start acting like the Nordic people, and the Nordic people would start acting like the Haitians. And it's one of his favorite questions to trip people up with. And it's kind of funny, to bring that all up apropos, and Britt's kind of talking about it and admitting it right there, that it's one of their talking points that people are different. These people are different. And and their cultures are different, their histories are different, and just putting different political models, like stashing them into different political models, according to Yarvin, would not make that change that you think would make a change. And she's hitting on it like right there. Like the Nordic countries, not even for America, are like the right thing, but this is kind of one of the general concepts. Jared, you sent some memes that kind of hit on it. Maybe I'll find your memes that you sent. Which one did you send that in? That said there's like a magic line that if you bring the Haitians across.
That was the Kwaku one.
Let me see if I can find them. It's pretty.
So while you're looking for them, right as I left, you were talking about the very fine people thing. The day after the debate, I had 4 different conversations, 3 of them online and 1 of them in person, about the debate that all ended in the exact same way, with me talking about how it was kind of bullshit, how it was basically him versus Kamala and the moderators. And they're like, well, they're supposed to fact check him. And I said, they didn't fact check her. And they said, yes, they did. She just didn't lie. And I was like, she said he called Nazis very fine people. And all 4 of these people just fell into the normie trap, saying, he did call Nazis very fine people. I was like, and I'm not talking about the Nazis. And they're like, did he say that? And I was like, yeah, even your precious Snopes why did Snopes do that? Snopes debunked it. They sat on that shit for 7 years before they finally debunked it. I don't know, like it was working. So I don't know why they finally decided to be honest about it, but I sent it to them and I got no replies on any of the comments online that happened in. And then the one in person, the guy just shut the fuck up. Like he just shut up and he didn't want to talk about it. He short-circuited in the same way that a Mormon would short-circuit if I showed them a video of like Gordon B. Hinckley saying that Jesus didn't really exist and Joseph Smith was a charlatan.
Yeah, no, I mean, that's just it. Like they can't handle the cognitive dissonance. They're causing them a lot of serious strain by pointing out that like their whole world is built on this idea that they've been righteously fighting against a super Nazi. And yeah,
so it's not just that, 'cause like we've all heard since forever that Trump's just a super liar, and there was like some meme going around of I think it was CNN also saying that Trump lied 33 times. Oh, it was Stelter, who somehow is back somewhere, saying Trump lied 33 times and Kamala lied once, and it's just not true. A bunch of people went through the list of the lies of Kamala, and back to our stuff that we always say is, no, it's just always been both. Politicians lie. Politicians lie out their asses. And then I guess in like the current digital age, stuff can be like memed pretty quickly or put next to video, like Kamala saying, I'm not going to ban guns. And then you put it right next to video of her saying, yes, I'm down for like a mandated buybacks. Or she said, I mean, there was so many of them that she said, oh, I'm not against banning fracking. Put a video next to, yes, I support banning fracking. A video of, there was just a bunch of them. Yeah. And then there was some of them where they fact checked Trump and they were wrong about the fact check. You know, said that's not true. And
it was the needs context fact check. Like, and it's like the thing was totally exactly true. And the fact check was like, well, it needs context. And the context is that
it was that she said that she was supporting transing immigrants, like having the state pay for transing immigrants. And it's true, she's not only said it on video, but she also had a policy that she signed off on in 2019 saying it. And then it gets fact checked by the New York Times, and the New York Times says, here it is, needs context. And as the person writes up there, needs context, the context is yes, and she said that exactly. And the thing is like, there was a bunch of them. There was a ton of them, not just to mention that she once again brought up the Central Park 5. We've brought it up a million times here. Hate to break it to you. Dan McClellan's so hard on you being like a rape apologist. If you say anything about, I don't think Trump raped those people. Well, guess who you're being a rape apologist for? The Central Park 5. If you think they're innocent, if we're going to follow, well, I mean, I guess there's something called, if we're going to get into fallacies, the authoritarian fallacy, which is if anything's like a law or like said or written in court, that just means it's truth. Like that's your epistemology. And because those completely biased courts of New York got pressure to change the thing over, that's just the truth. And because those completely biased courts of New York got pressure to hold Trump liable for that rape, even though they also declared in the same document that he did not rape her, that it's a rape apologist to say Trump didn't do it, but you're not a rape apologist when those kids for sure did it. The Central Park Five, I don't give a crap about any Ken Burns crap. They did it.
They totally did it. They were absolutely guilty.
But she brought that
and all the stuff about how like they weren't fed, they were coerced, their parents weren't there. Like, no, actually, like you can watch
you can watch the video.
You can watch 20 hours of interrogation.
You can watch the interrogation.
You can see the mom in the room. To it. You can you can see them talking about all the evidence. Like it's Come on.
Not to mention that the police officer who put them all through it, who caught them and who did it all, is a black man himself, who stands by to this day that I caught those kids red freaking handed.
Those kids are guilty as shit.
Those kids did it, and we were the ones who were there, and we had their parents there, and we interrogated them, and we put them all separately, and you can listen to the interrogations. The way they try to like demonize it is like some sort of terrible thing. And then they also make the lie that Trump called for their execution, which Trump only said, and he kind of corrected that one in the debate. He put out an ad saying that we need to bring back capital punishment for types of crimes. He never said anything about the Central Park Five in that.
Yeah.
And but it was around the Central Park Five thing. But all he said is if people are convicted of these things, we should have stronger punishments for them. And it's just another lie. Then they brought up the Proud Boys lie, and then they brought up the stand by and stand by. Yeah. And but those are just little ones. And then she lied about all her little different policies and stuff like that. And they can pull up, well, Trump lied about this or lied about that. And then some of those are like, well, it needs context for the thing that he says. Like even like the eating the pets and the dogs. And Trump can sometimes do the thing like, well, people are saying it type deal. And he's not lying that people were saying it, because a lot of people were saying it. You can go all over Twitter and see a lot of people saying it. There was one, like they got the police call, and it's definitely a black man on the police call calling in saying that he saw a bunch of Haitians eating the geese in a park type stuff, and was calling the police about it. You can listen to the police audio, but this is a meme Jared shared that just kind of goes along. And what I'm saying is like Britt was tripping over some dissident right talking points there. That there's Ohio and red is Haiti, and it's the tradition of eating cats predating Ohio. And then some sort of line that you cross them over this area, and they just dropped that whole thing in the past. And one of the things that a lot of the different people are talking about, even some different Haitian people, is that they do have practices beyond just eating animals. They have voodoo practices. Like a lot of the
indigenous science.
Yeah.
Talking about other ways of knowing, you fucking racist.
Is that the dumbest phrase ever to come out of wokeness? Different ways of knowing. That
yes,
it's pretty.
I want to know. I'm going to narrow down the.
But look at the thing I shared. Share this thing I shared for Jared.
Well, that's another thing for like epistemology. Like, well, I'll just get through these real quick. It's the way stuff goes. The left, no one is eating people's pets, which means 1 week away from why do you care that people are eating pets? Which is 3 weeks away from why eating pets is a good thing, which is 4 weeks away from refusing to eat pets is white supremacy. And then here's Haiti and Dominican Republic, and over there is a systemic racism, and over here there's cats.
Oh, the memes.
Memes, yeah. That's what I'm saying. The meme war is back on. Like the memes are funny.
Well, I just thinking because like,
is this the one you're saying?
Yeah, just because that's
perfect, Rusty.
I have concepts of a plan.
I can hear it in his voice. That's perfect. That's why it felt like it was written when he said that. I was like, you fucking walked into that.
That's a cell phone. I have concepts of a plan. Like I know, like I can principle of charity that into what he was trying to say.
Yeah,
you can't top down plan away the whole insurance economy. And the Affordable Care Act sucks. And I have firsthand experience with this sucking. I could bore you with it for an hour.
That's the
Hey,
thing.
did my video ever come
I have
through?
a fantasy that you retire and just do a podcast where you
on all the
unload
terrible things.
just unload for 10 solid years on all the
amazing.
inside bullshit that you saw.
Which video, Jerry?
So the video of Kennedy and Nixon, did that come through? Because I
Yeah,
was
it did. You want to watch? There's two of them. It came twice. You want to just watch the one?
You don't have to put it on and stuff. I've been working my way back through old presidential debates, and I got through the 4 Nixon and Kennedy ones in the last couple of days, and this one was kind of shocking to me because this felt a lot like what happened now. You can play it if you want. It feels like Kennedy has an option to use identity politics right here, and he just shuns it completely. And maybe that's more advantageous at the time. I don't know. I wasn't around, but so maybe I'm being naive. But it feels like a classy move that you'll never see again.
Mr. Kennedy, Representative Adam Clayton Powell, in the course of his speaking tour in your behalf, is saying, and I quote, "The Ku Klux Klan is riding again in this campaign. If it doesn't stop, all bigots will vote for Nixon, and all right-thinking Christians and Jews will vote for Kennedy rather than be found in the ranks of the Klan-minded." End quotation. Governor Michael DeSalle is saying much the same thing. What I would like to ask Senator Kennedy is, what is the purpose of this sort of thing, and how do you feel about it?
Well, Mr. Griffin, I believe, who is the head of the Klan, who lives in Tampa, Florida, indicated in a statement, I think 2 or 3 weeks ago, that he was not going to vote for me and that he was going to vote for Mr. Nixon. I do not suggest in any way, nor have I ever, that indicates that Mr. Nixon has the slightest sympathy, involvement, or in any way imply any inferences in regard to the Ku Klux Klan. That's absurd. I don't suggest that. I don't support it. I would disagree with it. Mr. Nixon knows very well that in this whole matter, he's been involved in the so-called religious discussion in this campaign. I have never suggested, even by the vaguest implication, that he did anything but disapprove of it. And that's my view now. I disapprove of the issue. I do not suggest that Mr. Nixon does in any way.
Wow.
Well, I welcome this opportunity to join Senator Kennedy completely on that statement and to say before this largest television audience in history something that I have been saying in the past and will always say in the future. On our last television debate, I pointed out that it was my position that Americans must choose the best man that either party could produce. We can't settle for anything but the best. And that means, of course, the best man that this nation can produce. And that means that we can't have any test of religion. We can't have any test of race. It must be a test of the man. Also, as far as religion is concerned, I have seen communism abroad. I see what it does. Communism is the enemy of all religions. And we who do believe in God must join together. We must not be divided.
That's pretty much it.
The worst
thing that brings up a lot of the things, the Darvo that was happening, that stuff that she kept saying that Trump divides the country by race.
Well, that just felt like and again, maybe they lived in a climate where like Kennedy would have looked really bad if he had used that weapon. But to me, it felt like watching a man, like his opponent is on his knees and somebody gives him a dirty sword to use. And he just like throws it down and says, "No, I don't use those weapons." And I thought it was pretty fucking cool because that's not the case now. And now it's like they both united for just a second to say, "No, this Ku Klux Klan stuff is bullshit. We both agree on that." And they're like on the same American team for just a second, and it was great. And then I know what would happen now if like. I know that now if that happened, your archetypal Nixon in that would be like, "No, I condemn the Ku Klux Klan." And then your archetypal Kennedy in that would be like he didn't do it quickly enough. I don't think he thinks he protests too much, like just shit like that. Just anything you could possibly do to associate him with evil.
Yeah. Check this one out. A quick summary of last night's debate.
Food, got no jobs. Our pets' heads are falling off. Got no jobs. Our pets' heads are falling off.
I don't think the memes have been this good since Jew tunnels.
That's what I'm saying is
Oh, man,
the meme wars are finally back really
Yeah,
on.
the Jew tunnel memes like were some of the best things I've seen in so long.
I've got
January.
more memes than I could even share. But I don't know. That stuff was all stupid and wacky and dumb lies too. Anyway, so I don't know if they're gonna
Wacky
have any
dumb
more debates.
lies.
Does it seem like the comments have stopped? I don't know if they're.
It kind of does.
Maybe some people did, but
maybe
anyway.
everybody just dropped out and we don't have viewers.
Well, that says there's 11 now, but
yeah. But
anyway, we're getting
three of
close to time. I could just maybe end us out on some stuff, unless there's some other deals you want to talk about on the debate, or I like
Dear
this
chat, say something
Venn
if you're ready.
diagram. There's a Venn diagram.
I like that.
What's her name? Kamala loves the Venn diagrams, but boomers, autists, and pedants are all painfully literal. Boomers and pedants are both unable to add value to discussion. Autists and boomers are both not getting the joke. Pedants and autists, lots of knowledge about very specific things. Do you want to watch a little bit of the craziest movie in history, and it was about racism?
What? Which one?
What is it?
It was some movie that starred Brandy. Check this out.
Brandy? What's Brandy?
Do you remember Brandy? She was.
I seen the Claire. My cousin was a grand. Ooh, see, Norman, this is my point. This is the clan. She is the fucking clan, Norman. You're an uppity Yankee. Uppity. I guess I am a racist. Look at me. Riding on my horse to burn a cross.
Why are you behaving that way, you grown-ass racist?
Look at me. I'm a racist baby. Go, gaga.
This is a movie?
The real movie.
And this is unironic.
Unironic.
Don't.
Oh, she goes to prison forever for murdering that grandma, right? She gets the death penalty.
Belinda. My name is Belinda.
Wait a minute. Wait, no, she's hard R-ing her name.
Help me, Belinda.
Oh my god, that's so on the nose. Belinda.
Belinda.
That's a real movie? What's it? The Front Room? So wait, is it ironic? Is it a joke?
No, it's real. It's really real.
Like,
I'm waiting for like Eddie Murphy to rip off the face mask and jump
oh, it's
out.
a psychological horror film.
Was it Jordan Peele?
So is it supposed? Maybe it's supposed to be like that far off of. I don't know. That's weird.
Holy
though.
shit, that was amazing.
We didn't even talk about that. Old Dick Cheney is back to Kamala Harris. Do you remember for like 10 years, Dick Cheney was Donald Trump for the left, and now
Dick
they
Cheney's
joined
one
forces.
Dick Cheney's one of the most bipartisan, like hated figures I've ever met. I've ever heard of.
Yeah. But now he supports them. Glenn Greenwald did some good videos on the uniparty type stuff, but too late to get into it now. I don't have anything else but a million memes, but I bet everybody's already seen a million memes. So.
Many memes.
So many memes. The Alf memes and the...
Trying to understand this movie. Yeah, that's weird.
Did you look it up or something?
Yeah, no, I did. Like I said, because it's listed as it's an A24 movie. It's one of their cheap horror movies. Like I think it's probably supposed to be at least a little bit tongue in cheek.
I doubt it.
I wonder. I don't. Well, because you know how A24 shit is. They make trash. But
they're the ones that are coming out with that Mormon one with Hugh Grant, aren't they? The same
yeah, they are.
Where are they? Wow.
Yep.
But, I mean,
did I hear somebody told me that the script was leaked?
Yeah, it was.
They read it on Ward Radio. It sounds terrible. Like I was actually kind of hoping it might be all right, and it's not.
No, it's not even like a spoiler situation. Just don't.
No, it's a spoiler. They say it is. It's the girls go in, and it turns out that he's got this weird maze under his place, and he puts them through a test. And one of the tests is like there's some lady down there who dies in front of him, but then the lady comes back to life somehow, and you're like, oh, so it gets all supernatural-ish. Like, no, thanks. And it does get weird supernatural-ish. Oh, Taylor Swift, along with Dick Cheney, supports Kamala. That came
Yeah,
out.
no way. When I saw that happen, I was
How
like,
many votes do you think that's worth?
Some.
One, like it's probably worth a couple million votes. Fucking
Yeah.
But, like,
Swifties.
didn't everybody already know that basically? Like, who was like, oh, you mean she wants to vote for Kamala Harris?
I'm surprised that she even said. I know it
feels like it goes without
yeah,
saying.
like honestly, one of the things I always said about Taylor Swift that I always appreciate is that like she's always just been a fucking entertainer, and like okay, then like they're fine, like you know, and like my understanding,
she
she
stopped
never
that
dipped her
last
toes
election.
into politics, but
Up
like
until,
no, now it's
up
like,
until last election, she did it.
Okay, well, here's the
yeah.
thing: you didn't watch her shitty documentary or her last one, because she, like, that was her oppressive handling team that told her not to get into politics, and she complains about that in her documentary, and she says, "I just have to. I have to. It's
I have to say something to save
this
the
is
women.
people are dying, and I have to, and I went against my manager and their team telling me not to get political." You're so brave.
Very, very brave. I saw somebody like made a tracker of her airplane to see how much carbon she spends in a year.
Oh, that was funny.
I've got
That's
it here.
probably pretty epic. I'm guessing.
Yeah, I'll show it to you. Here it is. Taylor Swift emits 8,205 tons of CO2 in a year. An average American emits 16. This is who lectures us on the climate, and that's something tracking. Like, she has 2 airplanes that work for her. But I imagine they would.
2 airplanes?
There'd be, I'm sure, like the crew that sets up the plane flies out first, and then she flies out second.
Oh yeah, that's true. Yeah, she would need 2 planes.
Yeah, but you gotta
and look at them following each other around.
Hey, you talk to Divorce Queen about that. She'll tell you that it's actually justified for Taylor Swift. The first couple times I heard her say that, I thought she was just obviously joking, but no, she legitimately thinks that.
Taylor gets a pass, although I see a lot of those different TikTok commenter ladies who they say they love Taylor Swift, but they always got to throw in the caveat. And yeah, I know, billionaire and the carbon, and I know. But so they say that, and that's like doing their little alms or something, and it forgives the sin, and it's okay. I get it. But I don't know. That's about it. That's about it, folks. Besides memes, there's more Michelle Stone and Jacob kind of going after back and forth stuff.
When is the debate, the Jacob Davis debate is just temple.
I don't know if that's actually happening. I think it's.
No, I don't think it's happening. I think it was Jacob said
that's a retarded debate.
That is a retarded debate, but I think Jacob said that like a long time ago, and Dives. I don't know why he didn't take him up on it, because that's a slam dunk of a debate. But I think Chris is right that like he was always gonna move the ball on what the actual premise of the debate was gonna end up being.
Yeah, that's true. No,
Jacob, I don't see how it would stick with that like single premise. Or they talked about like debate prep for it. I listened to Diva's episode on that, and I think they did a pretty good job of steel manning what Jacob's arguments may be. But I actually don't think that he would. Except that I think Jacob would pretty quickly just say, I can tie any sort of Mormon benefit or religious benefit to temples. And they seem to think that he would be held to saying it's directly and mathematically tied to the temple. And I think he'd pretty quickly try to argue that away if he stuck to that premise. Mm-hmm. It'd just be the religion in general. So
pretty weak.
I asked ChatGPT to come up with several sexual positions that are not actual sexual positions. Do you want to hear what it gave me?
I do.
It gave me the Dutch reach, the spaghetti squash, the rumpus room, the Cumberland sausage, the fiddle leaf fig, the penguin slide, the popcorn ceiling, the camel clutch, and the swamp donkey.
Hold on.
It also gave me the rusty trombone, and I had to tell it that was actually one.
Okay, hold on. The Dutch reach.
Is it one?
Yeah, when a gay couple are fucking, the giver reaches around and pulls off the taker.
It's wrong.
Yep. What was that last one? The what donkey?
The swamp donkey.
That sounds disgusting.
Is it
anything with swamp donkey? A less than hygienic person with low morals and a poor character will do any sexual act, steal,
it's real,
etc. for drugs.
So the thing is wrong, man.
Cannot be trusted, but always friendly. Persons tend to be loud, like braying of a donkey, and starve for attention. They tend to be stuck in the mud, meaning they get nowhere in life. That's what swamp donkey is. I don't think you could find something that isn't already.
Everything exists, huh? Is the popcorn ceiling one?
Popcorn ceiling?
Yeah.
Like a ceiling above you? Is that what you mean?
Yeah, just like popcorn ceilings. I don't think
Yeah,
they do that anymore because it's like.
I remember.
No, I know what you're talking about.
I remember.
Oh, well, in Urban Dictionary, it just gives you the actual definition of the popcorn ceiling. So I don't know.
Mm-hmm. Have you guys seen like all the different like AI videos that are coming out that are insane? Like these people are like turning paintings into AI movies and stuff.
I saw one that was like a AI. What was it? It was like it was chips and dip in funerals.
Oh yeah,
so hard. I laughed so hard at it the first time I watched it. Then I watched it a second time. And it didn't work on me.
Here, I'll send you one. Like these ones keep popping up for me, and they're just fucking unsettling. I sent it to the group.
I have enjoyed the kitty army.
I've seen some like these.
A lot of cat army things from the last few days.
A lot of them are just like
this is what my dreams are like.
Oh gosh, that's terrible.
Yeah,
that's disturbing.
So I've seen one. I think I have. Oh gosh, that's terrible, man.
Yeah, it's like I can't help but
what
watch
the
it.
hell?
They're fucking. I'm not kidding. This is what my nightmares look like. I actually have dreams.
Yeah, no.
You have dreams like that?
Shit. Like you used to have to pay a whole team of Japanese creeps to develop this shit, and they made Silent Hill. But now you just say, "Hey, AI, creep me out." And
I found something where people are making fake recipe AI channels on YouTube, and they're just like coming up with like these whole entire things that seem like real recipes with people actually cooking them, and they're just complete bullshit.
Oh my god!
Yeah, there's some wild shit.
I want to see those now.
I've got a video. I'll link it later because I don't think I can find it fast. What are you laughing at now?
It's the thing we just watched, and there's just that image.
Yeah, that's disgusting.
Even just the still, there's just something. Everything is just so uncanny about it.
I've seen a few of those ones. Like the algorithm figured me out. I will watch every single one of them because they
mesmerize you. Have you seen the one where like the iron worker turns into a peacock, then turns into a clown, and then turns into a rocket? Have you seen that one?
No.
There's a lot of the ones like that where the guy goes to kiss the alligator and it turns into a jet ski and he rides it and it launches into a weird plane. And
then there's like one where a guy like put all of his vacation photos in a row and said like kind of like warp them to each other, and the way like it warped, it had like the chick ride like a tortoise all the way to the next picture and then turn into another thing. And yeah, it's wild. There's crazy stuff. I'm telling you, pretty soon. You've probably seen like all the different things of like, what if the Simpsons were made in the 70s by like live action, or He-Man made in the 70s live action?
Oh yeah, they keep doing like 1960s and 50s. I like those. Those are cool.
They did it like South Park or something like that, and they all look great. But
they do the soundtrack. They do the filter for how the microphones sounded, and they do the announcer voice. It's amazing.
Have you seen the latest girl trend of being tough? Here's one.
Attitude, walk off. Attitude, walk off. Attitude, walk off.
Is this tough?
Walk off. Attitude. Walk off. Attitude. Walk off.
It's kind of like that other one, like pony, like t-shirt and a ponytail, t-shirt and a ponytail. It's an attitude, walk off. Attitude, walk off.
Yeah, those make me want to die. I don't like women anymore.
That was our goal. We've achieved everything. That's what
We've
we were
achieved
all
reverse conversion therapy. Okay, I'm gay now. Thanks a lot.
Did you feel the shocks like when you were watching that? Did you feel the shocks? Like
I don't know, but I want to die.
I was pushing the shock button all the way through that.
I want to die now.
Yeah. Anyway, enough with our patriarchal misogyny for another week. And here comes a totally normal week. So
this one will definitely be normal.
Yeah.
Dude, we've only got 8 weeks. It's less than 8 weeks.
Less than 8. Yeah.
That's crazy.
We got to have some sort of October surprises coming down the pipe too.
Oh yeah, for sure.
That's what they always promise us anyway.
Jesus. Video. Alrighty.
All right, y'all. Thanks for chilling.
See y'all later.
Swamp donkey isn't just another British pastry.
Oh, that's just mom and a donkey, you know.
Later, y'all.